I did not add myself to the stage. I just realized that now. So I've been talking and you haven't been hearing anything that I've said. Okay. All right. I apologize. So slave Elijah says, did you do something to Tavo? No, I'm okay. Dr. Kurt says, whatever this is, I apologize. I was clearly not in the studio yet. So I had left myself off the stream. So I apologize for that. But okay, now Faith from Facts is here. And let me see if I can hear him, first of all. Faith from
Hey,
Facts.
can you hear me? 1, 2, 3.
Yep, great. Got you. Okay. And hopefully everybody else can hear you too. So, and Logic Talks is here too. And I don't think I know Logic Talks, but Logic Talks, do you want to say anything? Let me see if I can hear you. Logic Talks. Can you say something just so that we can make sure we hear you? We can add Dr. Kurt to the stage as well.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah. Okay, great. I can hear everybody except for Logic Talks. And Logic Talks, I think, keeps entering and exiting, so it may be an
Hello?
issue. Oh, okay.
Oh,
I can
there's
hear
Logic talking.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good to see you, everyone. I was going to go over some slides to start with, but we don't really have to do that. Oh, and Slave says if you ever need backup, backup, yeah, hop up, Elijah. It would be great to see you. Yeah.
I mean, as long as they're electric slides, I think that'd be fine.
I mean, they're electronic, I guess, but
you can go play them. They're electric. Boogie, woogie, 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 woogie.
Well, Kurt, I'd like to formally invite you to join the band. That counts as counts as a pretty good tryout. All right, and we've got on day 3 too, and I think I'm going to be actually on day 3's channel. This is Gavin from on day 3.od3, so I'm really looking forward to that as well. Well, I have some slides, but some people are anxious to get up here. So, oh, and Macintosh Pro says that I have echo. Is that still an issue? Hopefully that's been resolved.
I don't hear it.
Okay, good to hear. Okay. Well, good to see you all. How's everything going? I do have some slides that I could go through, but I'm happy to like kick it off. And Logic Talks, I've not met you before, so if you want to say some things to just introduce yourself, then we could go around the room and introduce ourselves.
Yeah, hello, brother. Can you hear me?
Yeah, good to see you, Logic.
Yeah, brother. Yeah, I just put the name. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, like, yeah, I appear as a cash before. Yeah. So then I put this name. Yeah, we yeah, we talked before. Yeah.
Oh, okay, Cash. Yeah, I remember you, Cash. Yeah, good to see you.
Mm.
My recollection is that you're Hindu. Is that correct?
And no, I'm a Muslim. Yeah.
Oh, Muslim. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, good to see you. Glad to have you here. Faith from Facts, do you want to introduce yourself really quickly?
Yeah, I'm Faith from Facts. I'm a lay person, lay Christian, specifically Baptist, who enjoys just talking about God, talking about all these sorts of things, and really happy to be here. Love listening to everybody's thoughts and what they have to say about it.
Yeah, glad you're here, Faith from Facts. I've seen you on a lot of other channels lately, so glad you're here with us as well.
Yeah, like I try to go on, and I kind of have a rule that the conversation needs to be useful to me, useful to them, or useful to the audience to say anything. And I've had some stuff to say recently.
Yeah. And Dr. Kurt, do you want to introduce yourself and say a little bit about yourself? We actually talked about you a little bit yesterday on my stream with Objective Ethics, Dr. Kurt. So hopefully you're still there. Hopefully you can still hear me.
I think he's muted.
Yeah, I don't think I've muted him, so I think he's muted himself. But yeah. Well, good to see you, Dr. Kurt, anyways. And if you want to do a little bit of an introduction later, I'd be happy to do that. Well, I'm happy to take questions. Does anyone want to kick it off with some questions? What I did yesterday is I did about 4 hours of streaming with Objective Ethics. And as you can probably gather from the degree of disorganization that I'm demonstrating in this very chat already, I'm a little less prepared. I do have some slides that I put together, but I'm happy to take any questions from any of you. I know Cash has had a few questions in the past, so Cash, if you want to kick it off by asking something.
Yeah, bro, and I have a request. I mean, like, give me opportunity to ask some questions because tomorrow I have a very long day, so I want to go first. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Sure, go ahead. Yeah, we're happy to have you here.
yeah. So, do we have any specific topic, or I can ask any question? Yeah, out of the subject, like.
This is kind of one of those ask me anything type streams. I streamed for about 4 hours yesterday with Objective Ethics. That was really great. And then we took a lot of questions from the audience afterwards. So I was thinking we could dovetail off that, but I'm happy to take whatever questions you have, Kat.
Okay, so I mean, like nowadays, I am pushing myself to study Quran and the Bible too. So, like so many years ago, I studied and then I forgot some things I remember. Yeah, but you can say that I just started from like 2 weeks ago again. Yeah, so I'm trying to improve my English language because I'm not native. But I think like yeah, so I think at least I have 33 passing marks I give to myself. That it's not an easy thing that to occupy another language which doesn't belongs to us and to talk to with a native. So I think it's I appreciate myself. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just to empathize with you, English is actually my third language. I
Oh,
was shuffled a lot in the first couple of years of my life between a lot of different countries and
oh.
kind of moved around and
Yeah,
yeah.
but you seem very perfect in English. Yeah, I wish I could speak like you. So
I actually speak with an accent. It's an American accent that it's not like a put on, but I'm definitely when I'm doing this stream and when I record videos, I try to do like a more American accent.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
So okay, so I'm okay. So I have some question. Like my question is like what I was doing. Like I was trying to do some comparison between Islam and Christianity, and then especially about the scriptures. So, what's the difference between the we believe in the last revelation, the Holy Quran, and we believe all those previous revelations on all other prophets as well. But we claim that I mean we believe that though because those revelations were not preserved, so there it's kind of a mixed up. And if we claim that, then I was trying to find that how we Muslim claim that the old revelations either it's the Torah or the Gospel of the Jesus Christ. So how we say that it's not preserved, and so then I was trying to figure it
Well,
out that.
let me ask you this, just to expound on that. When you say the gospel is not preserved, what
Uh-huh.
exactly do you mean?
Yeah. So that's an important question that when we say the gospel. So I see that there's a huge difference between Islam and Christianity when we say according to Islamic paradigm, what does it mean gospel? So because it's a totally different in I see in the Christianity.
How
So
about this? What is a doctrine in the gospel that you think has been lost over time, and when did
yeah,
it get lost? When did it get
yeah.
lost?
Yeah, so if I read the Holy Quran, that there are so many passages in the Holy Quran we are where the Allah, God Almighty, He talks about the previous scriptures and revelations. So we what I find that there were prophets, Moses, David, they were, yeah. So we are not denying the existence of those prophets. We believe in all of them. So now then we believe that there was revelation received by the Moses, David, and so many other prophets, Noah, Lut. There's a whole
Well,
chapter.
let's
Yeah.
focus on the claim that there is some, because you said what you said earlier, and I'm paraphrasing you just a tiny bit, but I think this is an accurate representation. You said that there are things in the Bible that were lost over time, that were distorted, and they're preserved in the Quran, right? So, what are some examples? What's a doctrine that isn't in the gospel but should be in the gospel?
Yeah. So that's a valid question. Now, I mean, like the thing is that how we are claiming and how we are proving. Yeah. So we say that there was a gospel. Gospel means when we Muslims say that gospel, what does it mean? Yeah. So we need to understand what does it mean.
Otherwise, it's going to be very very difficult to understand that what is our paradigm, and we are trying to connecting things with the Bible, so it's not going to be matched at the end. And so we say that Jesus Christ, peace be upon him, we believe that he was a second last messenger. Then we believe that he received revelations from Allah and he was sent only to the people of the Bani Israel, for the Jews. He was the prophet who was Allah appointed him only for the nations of the
Well, I guess I understand what you're saying.
okay.
But what you're citing is the Quran, right? But presumably, you would say that you're saying the Bible is distorted, or there's something that was lost,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
So, what was
So
lost in the Bible, or what was distorted?
yeah, so the question what was lost is that I mean in general I don't know what was lost. But when we see the last revelation, and the Holy Quran, it talks about the there is a verse in the Quran which talks about the Jesus, and Allah tells that when Jesus, I appointed Jesus, and he was on earth, then he said that, oh, after me there is going to be a prophet, and his name will ismuhu Ahmad. His name is going to be Ahmad, which was the given name of the last prophet by his mom, and his main name was also the Muhammad. So Allah chose he carried out with the name Muhammad given by his grandfather. So his first name also was by birth Ahmad. Ismuhu Ahmad, which the
Okay,
verse is,
okay.
yeah.
So where you're saying that this part of the Bible that names Muhammad was taken out?
Yeah. So now if we claim that it was
I guess
taken
I
out,
guess here's what I'd like you to hone in on, Cash, because like I feel like every time I ask you a question, you're kind of drifting a little bit into a different topic, right?
yeah.
So,
Uh,
is there evidence that the Gospels were distorted? If so, what is that evidence?
yeah. So the
And
thing is,
here's the real question that I want to ask from an academic historiographical
yeah,
lens,
I will try.
right?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Muhammad came around several centuries
Mhm.
after Jesus, about 6
Yeah.
or 7 centuries, right?
Yeah. Mm.
And then had a recontextualization of the things that Jesus said by your own definition, right?
Uh,
So why should we trust that more than the more temporally proximate testimonies about it that are in the Gospels?
Yeah, so let me give you the current example. So we say that let me make it simple. Let's suppose if we claim as a Muslim that the last revelation is more I mean like is making more sense and is correct as compared to the Bible. So what's the proof? Now right now I'm going to present a proof. The proof is that if you pull up the John 3:16 from the Bible, that's my claim that Bible got corrupted. So if you pull up so it's a New Testament, you can open the KJV. So what does the verse say? Can you quote for me? John 3:16.
For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes shall not live, whomsoever believes shall not perish, but would have eternal life.
Yeah, I'm
For
going to
God so
represent.
loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life, is the correct
Yeah,
teaching.
yeah,
Thank you, Dr. Kurt.
yeah.
A
So
little
I'm
garbled.
yeah. So I'm going to get to the point a few seconds later, because there is a thing over here to share with you. That's
Well,
the only.
I guess I mean,
Okay, let me get to the point. Now, brother, I want you to read from
This is
the
the Cash
Revised
Show.
Standard Version.
Welcome.
Now read from the Revised Standard Version. What does this verse say again? The John 3:16 from New International
Faith,
Version.
do you want to jump up the RSV version?
Yeah, just 1 second.
Or Dr. Kurt, either one of you, or Macintosh Pro. I don't have it pulled up, but I guess
You want the King James version, or what did you say?
you want the RSB version now, right?
Okay.
Cash,
Yeah.
is that right?
Yeah. I'm going to present you a corruption right now in the Bible.
For God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish but have eternal life.
So you see
RSV,
the
John
yeah.
3:16.
Yeah. Same
Okay.
in the So you see the corruption? You find what's the corruption here?
No,
In this
what's the corruption in your words?
Yeah. So the thing is,
And I know Cash has to go soon, but I know there's some other people who've joined. I'm really glad that Chris Moore is here. I've seen you on some other chats. I'm glad that Macintosh Pro is here. You have a fascinating and really engaging story. I'd love to talk to Dr. Kurt a little bit more, so we will get to other people. But I know Cash has to go soon, so I want to get to some.
I'm going to take few more minutes. Yeah, and then you can give opportunity to other guys. Yeah, I respect all of them. So you guys pay attention. What's the difference and where is the corruption in the one
No,
verse?
I don't hear corruption, honestly. I just hear two different translations.
Yeah.
I hear
So
the
the
claim
thing
of a
is,
corruption, though.
yeah.
Yeah, me too.
So tell us.
Yeah, so the thing is, whenever we talk to our Christian fellows, that is Jesus the only begotten Son, that they use the word begotten again and again continuously, and they are presenting the words from the KJV, King James Version. It's not the matter of just the translation. Translation is different, version is the different thing, and the corruption is a different thing. Now, what's the
Okay, well, but look, Cash, you gave us a claim that the Bible was corrupted. Now,
yeah?
the King James version of the Bible post dates everything's going on. The earliest copies of the Bible that we have predate Islam by at least 4 centuries.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a problem there, right? In other words, how did Muhammad alone say that, that he was the only one who was correct? Do we have any evidence of that?
No,
Given that he
brother,
came 6 centuries afterwards.
that's going to be a different topic. Right now, I'm just getting straight to the point. The point is, we ever heard,
Well,
and
but
we say,
that's the topic we're supposed to be on, because when I asked you the claim, that's what I was asking for evidence on.
I can proceed after this one. So I mean, then this point will be unclear. So the point, my point over here is the RSV, the Revised Standard Version, backed by 32 scholars of the highest eminence. They took this word begotten out as a fabrication. They say it's a
No, they
fabrication.
didn't.
Yeah.
No,
So
they
you
didn't.
see, you
Go,
don't find
go
the
ahead,
word
Macintosh
begotten
Pro.
in.
Okay, Cash, you've chatted for a while, so let's let Macintosh Pro weigh in on this, and I'll try to mediate and bring a bunch of people in. This is our open panel on Mondays, and sometimes I'm a little bit more, driving the conversation, but I'm happy to let you all drive it today. So go ahead, Macintosh Pro.
Wait, before that, can I just ask a quick question to Cash? Like,
Sure,
do you
sure,
understand
Dr.
that the KJV is not the Christian Bible? The Greek is the Christian Bible, right? You understand?
Right.
KJV is Protestant.
It doesn't matter what it is. It's a translation. We can go to the
Right.
actual
So the
one.
Greek text is the original text. That's the only thing that could be corrupted.
Yeah, brother. Here the point to understand is that that's our claim. That so there is a
Okay,
corruption
I'll bring the
as a
Quran
translation.
translations, and I'll bring all. I could bring the Quran translations and tell you that it's totally corrupted because it doesn't mean the same in
Brother,
Arabic.
if we want to
I
talk,
do have the original Koine Greek pulled up.
I do
That's
have it too,
helpful.
and it's from monogene.
Yeah,
Monogene means begotten, but it also means only.
Yeah.
So you can use both.
no,
So
the
And
thing is they, bro, the history of Revised Standard Version is they thrown out some words,
No.
even for their 3 bare records in the heaven, the Father, Son,
No,
and
they
the Holy
didn't.
Ghost.
No,
So they
monogene
found.
means unique. Monogene is like a unique child. So you
Brother,
could say only or begotten, only begotten. You could
brother,
use it that way.
if we say only, then it's totally different. If we are pushing the
No.
word begotten, then
In the
it means
Greek.
begotten. Then we
In the
need to
Greek.
clarify what does it mean begotten. Yeah.
In the Greek,
Right.
monogene means only begotten.
But
But you
brother,
can use it as only, as begotten.
It's got
or
a
as
much broader
only.
range than that. It could mean singly sourced.
brother, over
And,
the point to understand over here in Revised Standard Version, they remove the word begotten as a fabrication. That's
All right,
why.
hey, Cash, let me ask you a question.
Uh-huh.
How you said your time is very limited. How much
Uh-huh.
time do you have today?
I can have more 30 minutes, but if you want someone,
as
Why
much.
don't we do this, Cash? Because like I feel like this is more of a conversation. So if you ever want to come, like I'll do some one-on-one time with you, and we can go through some of these issues.
Mhm.
But I guess my point is, though, this doesn't show me that the Bible is corrupted, and moreover, even if I believe that it shows that the Bible is corrupted, that doesn't show me that the Quran is necessary to help that corruption. In other words, the Quran doesn't come in and fix any of these issues.
Yeah, so that's the point. The point is Quran is correcting the Bible or not. So I would say yes. How? I am going to give an example. Like if we see if we see the prophet, just yesterday I was reading the Bible, and I came across a verse about the Ishmael, and the Bible says in the Old Testament that he was a wild man. But when I see the about the Ishmael, the Quran says he was one of the mightiest messenger of God, and he was a sinless. But the Bible says he was a sinner, he was a wild man.
Well, we're talking about
So
just
Quran is correcting the Bible that that's
no,
not the
I know, but
case.
No,
we're talking about we started off with a very different claim, which is
Mhm.
Jesus and the Gospels were corrupted. So you're talking about the Old Testament, saying that the wild man phraseology is and that's an
Ah.
argument that is made in Islam. It doesn't really relate to Christianity, and it doesn't really relate to the New Testament, right?
So, but my point
Yeah,
over here,
and
when I see the prophets in the Bible, I see that they are seems
Hold on,
like,
Cash.
yeah.
I think Faith and Facts wanted to say something as well.
Mhm.
when we're considering the question of biblical corruption, we also need to ask, when was it corrupted? Was it corrupted before Muhammad's time, at Muhammad's time, or after Muhammad's time?
Yeah, that's a good point
I
too.
think there's some very interesting results there. If you consider that in the Quran, I believe Muhammad says, here is the Torah, judge by it, which would probably indicate towards it not being corrupted, at least before Muhammad's time. But
Yeah,
we have copies that are before Muhammad's time.
I just want to
Okay.
push back, Cash. What text are you using in the Bible to say that Ishmael is described as a wild man? Because I'm not seeing it.
You want me to give the reference?
Where in the
Please.
Bible does it say that Ishmael was a wild man?
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
give the verse.
Okay.
Give the chapter and verse.
Okay. Even
mean-
I have the
Even
chapter and verse.
I
It's,
think you may have a corrupted Bible is my concern. Like it's
Oh, no.
possible you have like a,
So-
a version that has been corrupted.
The
But
Quranic
I do have Genesis 16:12 up, if that's helpful.
yep.
Okay. He shall be. Well, actually, I'm not sure if this is related to Ishmael.
Yeah. Now you see that even
yeah, it is.
I would say that I was speaking a very polite word because we believe he's a prophet. Now, yeah. So the verse is Genesis chapter 16 verse 12. It says he shall be a wild donkey of a man. So that's
Okay.
yeah.
but so you're using the
Indomitus.
word wild there to mean like feral and not like just somebody who's contrary, because it says his hand against everyone and everyone's hand against him. That means he's
Yeah.
contentious or combative, not like living off grass like Enkidu.
No. I mean the verse
It says
is.
Indomitus, by the way.
I mean, like here, my point was that the if I see the Ishmael in the Holy Quran, then Allah says he was one of my mightiest messenger. He was my obedient prophet. I appointed him. He was same like his father Abraham, and same with the Isaac too.
Yes.
Now, if
Can
I see
prophets sin?
no.
No. Then here's a question: if prophets can sin, do you think that Abraham was a prophet?
Moses has sinned, technically.
No, but like, wait a second. Like, it doesn't matter if we think that they have sinned or not. Do you think that Moses has sinned?
Brother, I'm going to
In the
make a
Quran?
statement. Then it's going to cover
No.
all of the question later. This
It's just the
according
answer that you said that it was he sinned. Like, prophets cannot sin. Okay, so Moses didn't sin. Jesus didn't sin, for sure, because it's a prophet for you. And Abraham didn't sin. Okay, was Adam a prophet?
brother, okay, let me make a statement then. Yeah,
Did Adam sin?
Wait, brother.
Did
wait.
he sin?
For the sake of understanding, let me make a statement. So, according to Islamic paradigm, every single prophet or messenger of God Almighty, Allah Almighty, he was a sinless. That's our belief. Number one.
Then
Now,
how
it's
did
not
Adam
only
become a
Moses.
prophet?
Huh? What's
Adam
that?
become Adam. If Adam is a prophet,
Okay.
wasn't he
Yes.
the first one to sin?
Yeah, so according to Islamic paradigm, Adam was a prophet, but not according to the Christian point of view. He was not a prophet, but we believe he was a prophet. Yes.
I
So
But
wonder.
he has sinned.
I feel like we're going to keep bouncing around to different topics, and I wonder if there's a way to rein this in a
but
little
I would
bit.
love to reply to this question. Last this one. Yeah. So we believe that he was number one. We believe he was the first human. Second thing, we believe he was the first. He was a prophet. Number three, we believe he was a sinless. Now there are verses in the Holy Quran where we talk about that Allah order him, command him that don't eat from that tree. Now the first thing over here, because I was very confused, then I got the proper.
So did he sin?
Brother, wait. So then I got proper explanation from the
Brother,
scholars.
answer.
Yeah. So
I think Cash. I think it's reasonable for us to like. I mean, Cash. I feel your courage and your bravery, and I'm really glad that you're here because you're the only Muslim on the panel right now. But I do feel like it's reasonable to say that that you should answer the question at this point. I mean, I think we understand some of the caveats that you're offering.
Yeah. I'm gonna respond to this question. It's good. Yeah, it makes sense because if
Go for
Islamic
it, man.
paradigm, yeah,
No problem.
according
It's
to
good. It's
Islamic
good.
paradigm, it's a very valid question, bro. According to
Thank you.
Islamic paradigm,
Answer.
if he was a prophet, Adam was a prophet according to Islam, then the Quran, if you read the verses from the Holy Quran, then it looks like he sins, he disobeyed. Now, let me respond to this. First of all, Adam was in the heaven when Allah gave him an order. When he reached on earth, it was this matter belongs to before his prophethood, and he got repentance. Allah forgave him, and it was not a matter of like he was looking for a woman or running for so it's a totally or he was
Cash.
drinking a wine.
If he was a prophet and he brought the word of Allah to people, which masses did he bring it to?
So message every
Who
single
did he
prophet.
talk to?
Brother, wait, let me finish one point. Make one
Did
thing.
we I didn't. Can I just ask, did we get an answer to whether or not Adam sinned?
Yeah, we believe he never sinned.
Okay, all right.
So after his prophethood, he never sinned.
All right.
But
this incident is a before prophethood.
Who did he prophet to?
Yeah, so when he got the generation on earth, the Adam and the Eve, they came, they start making babies, whatever the method, I don't know. But because he must be a prophet, because Allah we humans are created in a way we need guidance. So the first man, like Allah says that I teach the knowledge of every single name to the Adam. So it makes sense. So he's going to be the first man.
Who did he prophesy to?
Towards his kids.
All right. So
okay.
So on day 3, you're welcome to join the conversation if you want on day 3. I think and you don't have to dip, but here's what I would recommend, Cash. I'm going to be on day 3's channel, and I'll be on tomorrow at 5:00. So right around this time tomorrow. Would you be willing to call into on day 3's chat and just because I mean, some people on the panel already know this story about me, but I am a little bit conflicted when I make arguments against the Quran.
Brother Sam.
No. I just
here is the problem. The problem is that if you want me to go to the brothers on day 3 channel, I think he blocked me already.
I don't. On day 3, did you block Cash and you can answer in the chat. If you did or you didn't, like, I think we can unblock you to join tomorrow probably. I don't want to speak for him because it's his channel, but I do think that like I don't know what a good because
brother Stan, I'm going to move and you can give opportunity. Other guy with the last statement. My last statement is that I realized that our Christian brothers, they have a lot of misconception and lack of knowledge about Islam. Sometimes with the help of mistranslation.
I have read like 3 of the different Islams. So
I would like to. I would love.
Yeah, I mean, me too. Obviously,
Cash,
you know my background, right? I read the Quran long before I read the Bible or anything.
Yeah.
So
my point is that if any question, I'm over here about the age
here's a question that I have.
Question related to the Islam, I'm over here. I'm going to discuss about that question. Any question?
Here's a question that I have for you, Cash, and also for the whole panel. It does seem like when you go into atheist circles, that the conversation is always atheism versus Christianity, And I find it at least interesting that I think proportionately there's not as much discussion about, atheists will never say Islam is false. And I can understand that part of the reason for that might be the difference.
What? Haven't you seen the number of Muslims who come on Taco's channel?
No, I've never seen a Muslim on there.
Oh, it happens all the time.
That's
Not
a fact.
really.
That
Not. I've
most of
not
the
once.
atheists,
Not once have I ever
they
seen.
say that Islam
He
makes
literally
more
runs
sense
the
as
RM
compared to
away
Christianity.
against Muslims all the time, like probably at least once a night on average.
Really? Okay. I mean, almost every time I've been on there, I've been on there a bunch of times. I'm
Probably not as many as me.
No, that's true. Yeah. I mean, but don't you think that at least even proportionately, there's less of an emphasis of between atheism and Islam?
No, actually,
Tacos goes against the Islam all the time. He says there's no proof of angels existing in the Hijaz or in Al-Taib all the time.
I think that they find atheism closer to Islam, because like we have as Christians, Trinitarian Christians, we have 3 persons they have to combat against. In atheism, they just have one.
Maybe this question will be a good palate cleanser.
That's also not true.
Look,
it's a joke, by the way. Sorry.
I'm an anti-theist, by the way.
Oh, yeah, Chris, I was going to have you introduce yourself. I'm remiss for not doing that. I know you popped up while we're sort of mid-conversation. Go ahead, Chris.
Well, for me, I basically am an atheist, more on the anti-theist side, due to the fact that, well, I don't know how much time you want me to introduce my beliefs, but it's just that for me, every religion is mythology. So it's basically it's like, sorry, even if like Islam, Judaism, and Christianity are living religions, it's basically mythology to me. So,
well, Max says the latest Christian conspiracy theory, atheists never criticize Islam. I'm not saying they never criticize Islam. I'm saying that there is a proportionality of a lack of discourse. I feel like it's Christian.
No, you're just wrong. It's just the population breakdown on YouTube, right? It's just a much smaller population of Muslims.
I agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, and what I'm saying is even given that proportionality, I feel like the discourse is less represented. Like, I'll give you just one example, Dr. Kurt. Like, I mean, I've never heard Justin DZ talk about Islam, and maybe
he has a specific guy, Ems, who comes on and debunks Muslims all the time.
And I'm not saying he doesn't have anyone on. My point is that the proportionality seems lopsided.
And if you're talking about ex-Muslims, there's Apostate Aladdin, and then there's
No. And you guys are pointing out that
Armin Navabi.
Yeah. And you guys are pointing out that there are people who are counter examples of that trend. But again, I'm saying the proportionality seems lopsided. Maybe that's just the atheist that I'm following. For instance,
okay. Here's a part of
Christianity is more popular.
Atheists, for instance, who seem to have never addressed this. I don't think Paulo Gia has ever discussed. Maybe he's done it on Paulo Gia Live.
He's a Christian taking a look at the claims of Christians. That's his channel.
No, I understand, and there's a lot of other channels that are like that. But that's kind of the point that I'm making.
Yeah. Why would a guy who's like doing Paulo Gia's stuff, which is all resurrection gospel stuff, like focus on Islam when he's not an expert on that? He spent most of his time studying Christianity. When he does college shows online, he takes Muslim college.
Tavo.
Yeah, and there are many. Let me just finish this point really quick. There are many atheists that similarly are in that grouping, right? But that is exactly my point, that the conversation does seem somewhat disproportionate.
If you want me to write a Substack series on Islam, I'll be happy to do it, because there's just as much bad stuff in Islam as anywhere else.
Well, let's hear what Chris has to say, because I did cut Chris off to finish my statement.
Well,
go ahead, Chris.
If you are looking at the atheist / agnostic side of the fence, that is about criticizing about Islam, then you have to basically go to ex-Muslim channels like Secular Spirit, like said, Apostate Aladdin, and also there's Friendly Ex-Muslim, or Mrs. and Mr. Friendly Ex-Muslims, or Abdul Asamir. So
yeah, and I'm sure again that there are examples, but I'm just saying that the conversation to me, based on anecdotal experience, this is not based on data, it seems lopsided. But it seems like
I said, you're just omitting them as your claim.
Yeah. Well, I'm not omitting them. I'm like, for instance, like, I mean, Dr. Kurt pointed out that Tacos on the Mega Bloodbath debate channel does anti-Muslim debates, and he probably does. And maybe I haven't seen them, but I've probably seen a good 20 or so hours on that channel, and I've never heard that come up once, which suggests to me that the conversation is happening. It's there. But I'd be curious to know what other people in the channel in the conversation think as well. Adrian Belgrave, Bible and Beats, who's been on this channel several times, says sort of like, that he agrees with my observation.
So brother, I want to share that there are so many Muslims, like they claim that now they're ex-Muslim, but on the same hand, we see that there are thousands of Christians. They revert to Islam from Christianity. There are thousands of atheists. I have seen on the live call that they after like 3-hour conversation, they accept Islam. So we have all kinds of things.
I don't.
Yeah, it's okay, yeah, bro. It's okay, yeah. So the things about the atheist, I find that on one point, it's very easy to make them to revert them in Islam, and on the other hand, it's very difficult. So the point we need to yeah. So the thing is, I mean, like if we talk to an atheist, at least he admits we are agree on.
Let me do this. Faith, can I remove you just so on day 3 can have a brief conversation with Cash, because I think his time is limited. Okay, I'll just bring you back, and then we do have
Tavo, how about I go down? It doesn't matter. I just wanted to make the idea that if they're talking about prophets, their idea of prophethood is not possible because it's contradictory to what they're even saying. That's all. And I wanted to ask Chris Moore, how can you be an anti-theist? Because I've never heard about that thing. In order to be anti-something, you have to believe in what you're anti-of.
Okay.
Maybe that means he's like anti-theism. But do you mind if we turn the conversation over a little bit to on day 3 and Cash, just so that they can have a brief conversation? Because I know both of their time is limited. I'll give you guys about 5 minutes to talk amongst yourselves.
More space for people.
But we will get back to that point. And then I think Smoky Saint is in the chat as well, who I would really love to chat with. So just hang back, and we'll bring you up pretty soon. All right, but let's give it to Gavin and Cash in the meantime.
Hey, Cash, how you doing, bro? Can everybody hear me or no?
Cash, you're still there, right? Cash?
Uh-oh.
Well, under Tavo rules, that counts as a win for you, Gavin.
I guess so. Goodness. I was just going to ask a simple question about something he brought up in regard to 1094. Or he didn't bring it up, but I was going to bring up 1094 to just kind of talk to him about it for a couple minutes because I don't have time because I got to get my kids to bed. But Mr. Cash, if you're there at all, I promise this will be quick.
Why don't you make the argument, Gavin? Because I'd love to hear it, and I think we'll still benefit from it. And he can go back to this part of the chat.
Well, the simple question is just, if he's coming up here to Christianity, he has to remember that his Quran tells him to ask Christians and Jews if what Allah is saying is true in regard to his own religion. So I was going to talk to him about that in regard to Surah 1094, whenever it says, if you, O prophet, meaning Muhammad, are ever in doubt, ask those who have been reading the scriptures before you. And this was revealed to Prophet Muhammad before the Quran was completed. So that's what I wanted to talk to him about. meaning it was talking about the Torah and the gospel.
Oh, he's back. I think Cash is back. Cash, do you have anything in response to say to that?
Brother, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, because there was missed something. Yeah. So I just heard he quote a verse. Can you give me the reference?
Yeah, verse Surah 10, verse 94.
1094.
Yep. Make sure you focus on it in the Arabic, not and depending on, I don't know what English translation you read, but I picked up some Qurans that actually translate it incorrectly. So
Yeah, I admit that because I'm also a student of Arabic and I learn, yeah, like
right.
more than 5 years ago. I've been, yeah, I know present, past, future of the Arabic language somehow.
Right.
And yeah, basic I know. So even I can identify if there is some problem over there. Because related to the translation of the Holy Quran, I found one thing that most of the scholars who been, I mean, the people who did the translation of the Holy Quran, so there was a problem always there. The problem was they were expert in English and they were expert in the Arabic language. So what they did the literally translation. So it works somehow, but there are some verses we cannot do present the word by word translation. Then it's going to be yeah, like yeah. So there are so many
So what
examples.
does it
I
say?
read about them. Yeah. So yeah. So chapter 10, verse 94. It says, "So if you are in doubt, O Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, about what we have revealed to you, then ask those who have been reading the scripture before you. The truth has
Yes.
certainly come to you from your Lord, so never be among the doubts." Okay, brother. So verse I have. So what's your question about this verse?
Yeah. So specifically, my question in regard to that verse is obviously this is Allah speaking to Muhammad in regard to him revealing the Quran to Muhammad. And essentially what Allah is doing is saying, "O Prophet, if you are ever in doubt about that which we have revealed to you, meaning the Quran, go ask those who have been reading the scriptures before you." And the reference point is Jews and Christians that have the Torah and the Injil.
Okay.
And my
Okay.
question
So
to you would be, does that not mean that Allah is making a truth claim in regard to the authoritativeness of the Torah and of the Injil?
okay. So brother, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna present you the explanation of this verse because we need to understand, and I'm not going to explain by myself or by with the help of non-Muslim because they have so many misconceptions about so many verses. Now I'm going to present this explanation of this verse with the with Mafatihul Ghaib by Imam Fakhruddin Razi. Now what does he say? He's an expert. He was 1000 years ago expert of Arabic language and so many languages and philosophy, and he wrote 30-volume books. Yeah. So now the verse addresses the prophet, but it is intended for others. Okay. So Imam Razi interpret this verse is that although the wording is directed to the Prophet Muhammad Sallam, the real audience is people who have doubts. You got my point? So that's a way, even if even I mean like that's a very a big point. Like if I try to say something, what I'm doing, whatever I knowledge have of English language, when I translate from my native Urdu language to the English, then I feel so many problems. So now we need to understand that yes, from the expert of the language, plus he was a muhaddis and he was a mufassir.
Cash, I really don't think that dissolves the argument. We've all heard that argument before.
Yeah, I'm waiting. Yeah.
Yeah.
My question to you, yeah, go ahead.
Here's what I would
Can
suggest.
I just wait? Just one quick question here.
Go ahead.
Imam Razi is an Ash'arite theologian, right?
Brother, then it's going to be again a new topic. Yeah, I want to.
Right, but no. It's on this topic because if he's an Ash'arite, he doesn't believe that anybody like gets convinced of anything by anyone but Allah, right?
Brother. First of all, I don't know about this thing, and the second thing is that's not the only. I mean, we can present by Imam Qurtubi as well. We can.
Okay, but this person is specifically an occasionalist. So occasionalists believe that cotton doesn't even burn from oxygen. It's Allah who's making the flame, not the flame touching the cotton, right? So no person would make a choice without Allah willing it on that system. So it would not make any sense for someone to go talk to someone from another tradition, because they wouldn't actually change their mind. It would only be the possibility that Allah could do it himself from the Quran itself.
Brother, I mean, like what I'm feeling like. Then I'm going to talk about this specific doctrine. What's the difference? Yeah. So then it's going to be totally.
Okay.
Logic talk.
I want to stay on the.
I'm gonna jump in here because I do feel like we're probably not going to come to a resolution on this. So
yeah, I want to.
Yeah, just so I can sum it up.
Yeah. Go ahead, Kevin.
I was going to say, just to sum it up, Cash, I just want you to know, your top scholars that are in this field, if you study it more on your own time, I want you to. There is no reconciliation or answer to this question.
Brother, I don't think so.
All right, brother.
That's why I want to present you.
Yeah. All right. I mean, I here's what I would suggest, because I didn't think we would come to a resolution in this conversation, and that is just my gift of prophecy. But let me just highlight. Macintosh Pro says, "Don't forget to like the video. Please subscribe to the channel." I would really appreciate that. But here's what I would suggest, Cash. You can reach out to me anytime, because I feel like sussing these issues out on a panel like this, where it can be a little chaotic, is difficult. And then Gavin, can we unblock him for tomorrow so he can call into your show?
Oh, I don't think he's not blocked. I don't think, is he?
He said he is, but he may not be. That may be a misconception.
No, you're not blocked, brother. You can come on my you can come up on my channel anytime.
Because I think
Cash, why don't you come up while I'll be on with Gavin tomorrow, and we can have a whole
because 2-3 days ago I was trying to appear when when we had the last conversation. Then I see the message something like that you are permanently remove something.
You might I know if you're blocked from me somehow, I don't know how that would happen, but yeah, you can come up on my panel anytime you want.
Yeah.
Let's just make a promise to each other. Let's just make a promise to each other that during the conversation we just keep it really honest.
I want people. I want people who from your side. That even right now I was trying to the God logic, and whenever I talk to someone, then I feel a difficulty, like they cannot reply to my answer, and what they do, they drop my call instead of and I'm always ask me anything, I'm going to stay for hours and hours. I'm going to reply.
I won't drop you.
Doubts.
We're not going to drop you, Cash, but I do feel like there's a degree to which, I think people are sensitive that if they, I guess the question is, Cash, here's what I would like. I would like you to really think about this tonight, and really think, if we talk again about this, or if you call in tomorrow, ask yourself, can I really be honest about this? And I mean this with like a truly like brotherly voice when I say this. But I feel like there were times in my life where if people said certain things to me, I would not have been receptive to those things. So, and that's okay if you're in that point. But I do think that, we will both benefit to a greater degree if we talk again. Okay.
Yeah.
But only if you really like look at yourself in the mirror and say, I'm going to be open to what I hear from myself and from OD3.
Brother, I'm look, I'm open. That's why I'm on this. I'm on so many streams, and I'm trying to dig out the so many topics, and I'm trying to like in Christianity, my favorite one is the Trinity, and then the crucifixion. I have thousands of questions only related to the crucifixion that I never heard in a stream, but they are in my mind. I want to clear them.
And I'm not going to be able to answer all your questions, but I can promise you that I will give you a very honest.
Brother, I asked so many questions before about so many. They call themselves apologetic. They have no answer to my question.
Let me. I want to bring some other people up. So the person who's been Faith from Facts is still waiting to come back up, and Smokey Saint, who I think is an atheist, is waiting to come up, and I really want to bring him up as well. And TNC Apologetics, really fantastic channel. I would highly recommend. If you guys aren't already subbed to On Day 3, if you want LA Apologetics, put up your channel and TC Apologetics channel and On Day 3's channel, because those are all great channels. And I really would want people to. And thankfully, Smokey is saying that they can wait. So let me, as promised, bring Faith from Facts back up.
You
And
can
then
Yeah, I'm gonna
also
drop.
put
Hey,
me.
Tavo, I'm gonna drop off real quick. Okay.
Who's that? Oh, Gavin. Okay, yeah. Well, we'll talk
Yeah.
tomorrow, Gavin. So, by the
Yeah.
way,
Yes, sir.
Gavin is one of the most skilled speakers I think that I found recently. So please tune in tomorrow, 5:00. I'll be on Gavin's channel, and I'm really, really, very much looking forward to that. So
Yeah,
much.
brother
So,
Sen, I'm also going to be, drop myself. Sorry for interruption.
God
Yeah,
bless, brother.
yeah, thank you very much. We are going to talk soon, inshallah. Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
And
Thank you very much.
by the way, there's this other person in the chat named Mushroom X or something. Let's see if I can find them.
Um,
Let's see.
okay,
Oh,
but
I got about 10 minutes.
Oh wait, Dr. Kurt. Who said they've got 10 minutes?
It's me.
Oh, Dr. Kurt.
Yeah.
Oh well,
I was.
let's
I
go
was.
to Dr. Kurt for the next 10 minutes. And I'm gonna bring up Smokey Saint, and TNC is waiting also, but TNC's got a really fantastic channel. So if anyone throws up the links, okay, here's Macintosh Pro throwing up the link for OD3. There's the link. Do yourself a favor and subscribe. It's a really fantastic channel, and I would highly recommend that. But let's go to Dr. Kurt for some insights, because Dr. Kurt has written the most about me, the most about my ideas, and has been kind enough to have a conversation with me. And we actually spent a lot of time talking about you yesterday, Dr. Kurt. So
Yeah, I watched some of that.
oh, which part?
The part where you were talking to Nobody on Fire.
Oh, okay, yeah. Did you hear what we said, that you were pulling your punches?
Yeah, I didn't pull punches on the topic. I just know your position on the topic, so I can't use my usual toolkit, because you don't believe in Genesis, and you don't have many of the huge liabilities that lots of Christians do. So I had to go with whatever you have liabilities on.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, I actually thought you were. I don't know. You sure you weren't pulling your punches? I thought you were really like.
I mean, I like you. I think you're a nice guy. I don't think you're being disingenuous or dishonest like a lot of people are.
Well, I appreciate that. That's kind. And you're very sharp, Dr. Kurt. And everyone in the conversation, in case you didn't missed it yesterday, everyone in the conversation agreed that if you wanted to just frankly like wail on me, you could just pummel me beyond recognition. So that was the consensus
That's like
of everybody on the panel, and I actually would agree with that consensus. So
it's the position that has the weakness, not like anything about the person.
I don't know. I think people can be better debaters. I think you can have a good position.
Oh, sure.
Defend badly.
Yeah, that's true. But still, okay. So my key thing that what OE was concerned about, and why I wanted to come up and talk about it, was he thought that we didn't have enough time to fully address the issue. And I will agree that my position that I was making was that there's a huge gap between the God of devotion and the God of the philosophers, right? And that gap is where a lot of apologetics does a Mott and Bailey argument. In other words, when they're talking to believers, they'll have this expansive definition. And then when they're defending their position, they'll have a very narrow definition. And I did feel like I basically got you to say, at best, you've defeated a very conservative version of God. And I think that's basically the point I was trying to make, was that gap between the defensible God and the God of there were two footprints in the sand God, who's the devotional God. They're just very different structures. So if to the degree that you had a good response to that, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, I mean, so just to recap the debate, what we were talking about, the argument that you were making is that even if there is a God, and even if God is omniscient, then God cannot be omni-attentional, because attention and omniscience are different categories. In other words, God doesn't have the multitasking ability to receive all prayers, consider all prayers, and respond to all prayers in the way that is normally part of Christian dogma.
I think you're misrepresenting it a little bit. Let me be clear. I am not talking about what God can or cannot do in capability. I'm talking about the ordinary meaning of the words. The ordinary meaning of the word attend to means you foreground some facts and background others. And so God can't attend while maintaining full consciousness of all facts.
Okay, well, my first thing that I would raise against that, and I'm curious, and other people in the panel can join in on this, but the first thing that I would raise is you said pretty clearly, and I may be misquoting you, but I'm going to try and accurately paraphrase what you said. We can make conjectures about things in this universe, and we can explain things in this universe. We can't conjecture about things that are not within this universe, right? That's
No.
something that you
Again,
said in your video about.
I didn't
about
make it. When I'm talking about fine tuning, what I'm saying is we simply don't know the base rate. And we certainly don't know the base rate of the number of gods there might be if there are gods. We certainly don't know like many things that people claim to confidently know. But in this respect, I'm not even making a claim about the reality or lack thereof of a God. I'm talking about the plain, ordinary meaning of the words and whether that plain, ordinary meaning applies when it's applied to a God. Because if it doesn't apply, then there should be a different word that actually means the thing that's being described. When you say you pray and God listens and answers you. To say that someone listens and answers is to say they attend. And my position is that that attention is not possible on omniscience.
And why is it not possible on omniscience?
Because
and I don't want to run
attention requires a partitioning of incoming sense data. Right? When you pay attention to a TV show, you are ignoring the gardeners in the background.
Okay. But your justification for why we don't know the base rate is because we can't conjecture about things in other universes. Right? That was your whole argument.
No. It's a linguistic position. Even if God existed wasn't all-powerful in-time being.
I'm talking about the rationale from your fine-tuning argument.
From the fine-tuning thing, all I said was not that we can't conjecture about other universes. It's that we don't know the base rate to draw statistical inference from.
Well, let me. I mean, I want to pull up the actual quotation.
Yeah, go ahead. But if I used inartful language, that was the point I was making. We don't there are some cosmologists who know the math better than I do, who think there are reasons to think a multiverse exists that are based in the evidence and the empirics. If that's the case, then they're experts at that, and I'll defer to their position. But I don't know that. I don't have knowledge of that. And so I don't think you can draw a firm fine-tuning position on the basis of no base rate.
Yeah, I'm trying to look through the article that you wrote here to find that.
You should read the one I posted today. It's much better.
Is it what's it about? I haven't read it yet. The last one I read was
problems that Christianity faces with the Exodus.
But you said in your last article, you said this is going to be your last article about Tavo for a while, and I was actually
this wasn't about Tavo. It was about
I was a little saddened by that. Actually. Yeah, I was a little saddened by that. Too bad.
If you want to defend the Exodus, you can get another article out of it real quick.
Well, I mean, here's my point. I don't know that we have a reason to suspect that if there is a God brain, a God mind outside of our existence, that it necessarily has to parse out attention from omniscience the way that you are.
No. Yes, I agree with you.
It's built. Yeah. Okay.
I agree with you that if there is such a being, that being may not be able to pay attention in the way our word means attention. But what that means is he can't pay attention in the way our word means attention, which means he's not listening to you when you pray.
What? I think, but you're saying that the word attention does not apply to the cognitive process of that brain, right? So
I'm not describing brains. I'm not describing the properties of a being.
Let me finish, Dr. Kurt. You're saying that God cannot attend to our thoughts the way we perceive attention in our universe, right?
The way we use the word attend, not how we perceive it. I'm talking about what we mean when we use the word. I can talk about Darth Vader. Doesn't mean anything about Darth Vader existing. I can talk about midichlorians. Doesn't mean anything about them existing. It's just what's the definition? How is it described? And what does the word mean? That's what
but that word, as you defined it in the conversation, that word is relevant to our neurological processes. And you even
it's relevant to what we mean by the word. I can easily imagine an entirely cybernetic, non-brain thing that can pay attention easily.
Okay, and you could imagine a brain that would have cognition and attention at the same time, right?
Yes, I have a brain that does both at the same time. In fact, I think cognition, as we use the word, usually requires attention.
Okay, well, why couldn't God? I guess my point is, why does this disprove God then?
It doesn't disprove all concepts of God. Like I said, it disproves the Christian God who has given Jesus the Lord's Prayer to say, God, give me today my bread. God then is supposed to take action and give bread.
Well, first of all, I think that's more metaphorical. It's not like I expect God to like produce bread when I'm,
If that, again, if your heuristic is that's a metaphor, it doesn't really mean that. That is just a perfect example of how to dance around a problem, but not actually address it.
But it's not like I'm offering an abstruse, very narrowly defined metaphor.
I know you're not a Trinitarian. Let's say Jesus is the
every
angel
Christian who
of
says
God.
the Lord's Prayer is probably interpreting "Give me my daily bread" to mean something like "Give me my daily sustenance." In other words, let me get through today.
Yeah, God, give me I'm asking you to give me something. That requires focus and attention.
Okay,
Again, in Matthew, separate from the Lord's
Prayer,
it says that God knows the hair of every head.
So why can God not give us that attention?
Oh my God. Okay, because of the way the word attention works and the properties of God ruling that from happening out.
Yeah. So if I can let's read the definition of attention. I'm just doing a quick Google search for this. Attention is the cognitive process of selectively focusing on specific information, stimuli, or thoughts while ignoring other distractions. It acts as a mental highlighter, directing your limited cognitive resources to what matters most in the environment, relationships, or tasks at hand.
Again, Tavo and I both have training in how to assess attentive focus and how to handle somebody who has disordered attention. So we're both familiar with the topic and its meaning.
Right. And you're saying that you're using this everyday definition of attention, but just...
No, it's not an everyday definition. Okay. It's the definition.
Okay. So basically, the definition that I just read says directing limited cognitive resources. However, it seems to me that like God does not have limited cognitive resources. And so
that's not demonstrated. That's not demonstrated at all.
But you're creating the limitation to justify your argument, Dr. Kurt, right?
No. First of all, it's not demonstrated that God has unlimited cognitive power. He's only omniscient. That doesn't mean he has unlimited processing.
Okay, all right, that's fine. So let's say my theological God has unlimited cognition. Doesn't that solve the problem?
So you just grant yourself verbally whatever properties you need?
No. I'm trying to get beyond this point for the purpose of the conversation.
It would be entailed, by the way. It would be entailed from the property of being omniscient that you have unlimited.
Smokey, I actually agree with that. That was the argument I made
because a database can just hold facts without processing them at all.
Yeah, but again, these are all here was my point that I got to in the debate. These are all arguments by analogy. You're like, this is not how a database works. This is not how a human brain works. And my problem with all that stuff is these are all limited systems that have limited
I never once brought up a human brain as my point. My point is
your opening statement did. Your opening statement was all about.
I brought up the vertical or the ventral and dorsal attention systems just to describe that you can either do attention bottom up or top down.
Okay, I guess I could say
what you want to attend to, and you can have something force you to attend to it by coming up from the bottom.
But here's the problem, Dr. Kurt, is that's like a barely tangential point to what I just said. Right? Like I said,
you brought up my debate opening, and I'm explaining why that was in there. It's about how attention works. It's not about brains.
But why can't I again, you're creating a limitation, and I don't see why this limitation has to exist for on omniscient.
I am not creating the limitation. The limitation is in the definition of the word that just got read by Faith from Facts.
Right. Here's my problem, though. Okay. is that most conceptions of theism, God does not have limited cognitive resources.
Well, there's other atheists.
So God can't plan.
There's other atheists
what do you
on the
mean?
panel right now.
What do
So
you mean
why
by
don't we do this? Let's open up the conversation just a little bit more.
My time is pretty much run anyway. I gotta go. But
well, Dr. Kurt, I hope we talk again. You know, Dr. Kurt, I'd love to just have you on the channel for a Talking with Tavo and just have a conversation.
Sure. Yeah. Just email me and I'll try to find a better time than this.
Okay. I really did appreciate you inviting me on for the debate.
Yeah. It was fun. All right. Bye, everybody.
All right. Bye, Dr. Kurt. Good to see you. All right. Well, let me bring up the next person as well. By the way, but Chris or Max, if you guys want to bring up, we got Adrian from Bible Beats. But Chris or Max, do you want to steel man Dr. Kurt's argument and like carry it forward a little bit, or would you rather we just kind of switch topics at this point?
I mean, I don't really care about the definition he was talking about, honestly. So,
all right. Well, Chris, any thoughts? Anything you want to push forward on that? All right. Well, let's do this. We got Smokey the Saint that I'm remiss for not introducing, or Smokey Saint. I apologize. Smokey, good to have you on here. Nice to chat with you. Yeah. Why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are, your belief system, your preferences as a fellow owl. I've seen you on the Christian King panel quite often, so good to see you here.
So I saw you a couple times there too. So yeah, I was wondering if my reputation preceded me at all, but it's good.
Only because people have told me like you got to check out that other owl guy.
Yeah, that's how I heard it too. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I get that. No, you're an adept host. Thank you for the introduction. I appreciate it. I'm I guess you'd say like I was a Christian most of my life. I'm kind of in a bit of a agnostic theist type position. Like I'm certainly believing certain ideas and principles that lead to the idea of the existence of a deity. As to its identity, I'm in a state of kind of agnosticism to that. So agnostic theist is the best I could come up with to kind of describe it. But yeah, I do have a YouTube channel. I typically always did open rooms and open shows. I haven't done as many lately. Just kind of been in my spare time popping up on other channels. I saw you were live. I figured I might as well come in and do an introduction, if nothing else. I've appreciated your delivery and your very scholastic approach to a lot of these debates. So I hope you'll be appreciated for what you bring to the table. It's actually been fun listening to you the few times I've caught you. So yeah, it's nice to finally meet you. Yeah.
I would say that probably the best conversation that I've had, the biggest contribution that I've made to the whole discourse is, by the way, I'm going to highlight Zara's comment, just highlighting Slave of Anais, Elijah's channel. He's a really great content creator coming up, so check out his stuff. Yeah, I think the best content that I've made on this topic is the CTF argument, which is the comparative theological framework, where I basically use the tools of academic historiography across different religious traditions, and I say these are the different these different religions. This is how we weigh them when we use academic tools. And then Macintosh Pro also highlights On Day 3's channel. Again, if you didn't already hear it, I will be on Day 3's channel tomorrow. He's got a really fantastic channel. Oh, McG Chicago says, would I mind linking Dr. Kurt's article? Yeah, Dr. Kurt, if you're still listening, I would encourage you. I'll see if I can find the Substack, or if anyone of the mods can find the Substack. I've posted about it in the past, so if you look at my post, it's on there. If not, I'll repost about it. It doesn't contain that argument. That argument was limited to the debate that we had, but I will try to find it and post it, or the mods can find it too. It's substack.com/ekurtallen if you want to find that, and put the link up, and I'll highlight it. Yeah, but anyways, so check out my CTF argument, Smokey. It's basically the biggest contribution I make. On that note, let me have Max introduce himself too. Max, thanks for coming up. I should have given you a chance to introduce yourself too, but glad you're here.
Yeah, I'm Max. Not much to say as an introduction, unless someone has a question.
Yeah, well, glad you're here, Max, and we can chat about whatever. Max is an atheist, and we had a couple-hour-long conversation about the CTF argument too, and he was advocating for me including other criteria. And we did some research, which I'm remiss for not presenting on this channel, but I did want to talk about what we found eventually. And Adrian, why don't you say what's up too? Good to see you.
Good to see you, Dr. Tavo. Thanks for having me up. Yeah, Adrian Belgrave. My YouTube channel is Bible and Beats, where we have Wednesday night open discussions, whoever wants whatever topic. And Thursdays we read the Bible, different translations, study Bible material, different translations. And then at the end of scripture reading, we have an open panel after that talking about the chapter we read.
Dope. And we also, I know we do have I Am Batman waiting to come up, so we will bring you up I Am Batman pretty soon. So we've kind of hopscotched around some different topics. Does anyone want to like kind of pick it up? And the topic of this debate or this discussion today really is, and by the way, I saw that Objective Ethics popped into the chat. It was really great to do a chat with him. I did post the link to my chat with Objective Ethics yesterday or today, and so check that out as well. It was about a 4-hour long conversation. But yeah, let's get some questions going. So I can take questions from the chat, or I can take questions from anybody on the panel, and you can challenge me on any of the viewpoints around my theology or my Christology. I'd really love that.
Real quick, because I heard Kurt kind of say this in passing and it kind of got skipped over. I'm not sure if anyone else caught it. He did say you're not a Trinitarian. Is that true?
I lean towards, atheist Luke has a question. So what is your theology regarding homosexuality? You should check out.
He's been asking that. Goodness
okay, I'm sorry for not acknowledging that sooner. Yeah, good to see you, atheist Luke. I owe you a conversation as well, and we'll make that happen at some point. But I've been pretty clear that, and I'd be willing to debate anyone on this, that I don't think that the Bible clearly contains a condemnation of homosexuality, to be honest. I think a neutral scholarly reading, I think at best it's questionable. I'm happy to be challenged on that. You can challenge me now if you'd like.
Doesn't it call it an abomination?
An abomination.
What part of the Bible calls it an abomination?
Leviticus 18 and chapters 18 and 20, if I remember correctly.
I guess my question is, how do we know that applies as part of the Mosaic law that needs to remain intact under the new covenant?
I'm paraphrasing, Tavo. But it does say that a man shall not lay with a man like a woman.
If I may, on the why does that apply to Christianity? What happens is that you have the Council of Jerusalem, and at that council, there's basically, I think it was 3 or 4 things from the Levitical law that Christianity was bound to, and one of those things was its sexual morality, and both chapters 18 and 20 have that as part of the sexual morality, not part of the anti-idol. So
here's the problem. The New Testament redefines sexual perversion as porneia, porneia, and that's a word that itself is debated, and there's no actual clarification that homosexuality falls under that definition.
So my point would be that the Council of Jerusalem links Christian sexual ethics with Levitical sexual ethics, and that is why we're bound to it. Yes, because the Council of Jerusalem is in the Bible. It's in, I think it's Acts, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
I'd have to look it up.
I'm familiar with.
I'll look it up.
I'm familiar with the Acts line about this, but again, I think Acts refers to porneia and doesn't specify which parts are perversions.
Tavo, can I ask you something?
Sure, go ahead.
Why would he call it an abomination if it would later be okay? Like, that's a strong word. It's not just saying don't do this. It's calling it an abomination.
I don't know that it calls it an abomination. I mean, we should.
It does, bro. 1827, Leviticus 1827.
All right. Well, let's.
Can I read it to you in the BSB?
Sure, yeah.
All right, I got you. Hold up, real quick. All right, here we go. 1827 from the BSB translation. I'm sorry, 1822. Excuse me, 1822.
This
and
is
it reads,
Leviticus 1822, right?
Yes, sir. Leviticus 18:22, and it reads, "You must not lie with a man as with a woman. That is an abomination. Also correlates with Deuteronomy 20:19.
But this is grouped in with the Mosaic law around immorality, right?
No. So the other immediately preceding verses are about things like incest and bestiality and stuff like that. That I think we would still agree applies today. These are looped. Because these are all sexual, they are all kind of looped together. Does that make sense?
If I could, yes, I'm about to say it loops all of that together in Leviticus 18:29. Therefore, anyone who commits any of these abominations must be cut off from among his people. Any of those.
Yeah, but again, I mean, how do we know that that's part of the new covenant?
All right, so
And that's
that's
the
a
Council
great
of
question.
Jerusalem, right? And
Yeah,
that's
good
an
question.
Acts. But there they just talk about porneia.
Okay, so let's look at a little bit of the context here. Okay, so the Council of Jerusalem happens in Acts 15:5. Okay, and here is basically the discussion that's that's happening. The Gentiles must be circumcised and required to obey the law of Moses. Now, is Leviticus the law of Moses? Yes, it is, right? And so the apostles and elders met to look into this matter, right? And so what happens is that they go have this big discussion, right? And so the context of this discussion is how much of the law of Moses that they have to obey. Okay,
and there's 4 rules that they have to obey.
Yeah. So instead, we should. It is my and here's kind of the end of the council. Okay, it is my judgment, therefore, that we should not cause trouble for the Gentiles who are turning to God. Instead, we should write to them and tell them to abstain from food polluted by idols, from sexual immorality, from the meat of strangled animals, and from blood. Right. And so, yeah, sure, it's using the word porneia, but in the context, it's saying what he's referencing is the Levitical sexual morality. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's referencing the Levitical sexual immorality, but I don't know that it clarifies that it's all inclusive. In other words, I think if you didn't have the wording of Paul, I think it would be a much more tenuous argument. If you add in the wording of Paul, I think it makes it a little bit stronger, but then you have the problem with Paul's use of what seems to at least be a neologism historically.
The sexual immorality part you're talking about, is that, I know the NRSV UE plays with this part when it comes to the sexual morality part of this, right?
By the way, Macintosh Pro points out that this is Adrian's channel. It's a really great channel. So yeah, check it out.
Appreciate y'all.
Yeah.
Well, Tavo, could I ask, don't you kind of think that like if Paul's using the term porneia, like just kind of in a general sense?
Paul, I don't think uses porneia in the letters of Paul. I think porneia comes up in Acts, and Paul uses arsenokoitai in Malachi.
Right. Yeah, and so I think the context of porneia in Acts 15 incorporates all sexual immorality within the Levitical law, because that's what they're discussing, is how much of the Levitical law that Gentiles such as you and me have to obey.
Well, but again, I don't think it says, it just says no sexual immorality. It doesn't say, these specific verses.
Right. So do you think that the Levitical prohibition against incest would be a part of this? Against, say, a man going with his father's new wife or whatnot?
Yeah, I think that's sexual immorality.
Right. So
I do think there's a role for saying you should not be sexually immoral.
Okay. So
but where I lose focus is how do we know that that a mutual consensual homosexual relationship between 2 individuals of the same gender who really love each other or committed throughout their whole lives, how do we know that is in the category of sexual immorality?
So, would you agree that a relationship, say, between a brother and sister, can be consensual and it would still be wrong?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. That is sexually immoral. That is in the category of porneia. But I mean, I think we can say it's wrong without having the relevant
Right. So we have to ask ourselves, where
by the way,
is this
just
found?
really quickly, I do know that we have I Am Batman and Atheist Luke in the conversation, and I'll happily get to you all.
Right. So you have, you can't have sex with your father's wife. You can't have relations with your brother's wife. All of these things, okay, are bundled up together, right?
Yeah, and I agree. Those things are all sexually immoral.
Yeah,
as is cheating on your partner. That is also a sexual immorality in my
right.
Yeah.
The problem is that basically verse 22, and we would we would also agree that bestiality would be included in sexual immorality, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So the problem is that at verse 22 is just another one of these things. It's wrapped up in this section. If that makes sense. So you have the line about bestiality after this line about you must not lie with a man as with a woman, right? And so that's why it gets incorporated, is because it is in this section that is discussing what is sexually immoral.
Yeah, but I think here's the problem. This relies on a judgment that something is sexually immoral.
So Tavo, can I ask you?
I don't think it delineates. It puts out a definition for sexual immorality, and then it doesn't say that definition is based on this verse through this verse, all of which are included in sexual immorality. By the way, Sheng Sai, just really quickly, Sheng Sai is in the channel. Really good to see you. Glad you're here. Happy to chat with you anytime. Walter WD says, does that include a man chicken? No, a person and chicken would be bestiality. That's sexually immoral. But if it's a person and an owl, that's a different story, as we all know.
So if I could just say real quick.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Adrian.
Ms. Tavos is what's it called? So if it says, so my thing is, if it says similar stuff from Leviticus 18:22 into the New Testament, like verbatim, is if I find a verse that says that in the New Testament, would that then say, all right, maybe that is the case that homosexuality falls into that?
I could definitely be wrong about any of this stuff. This is based on my personal, neutral, scholarly reading of the relevant scriptural resources. And I think the thing that we should do next is look at the words of Paul as they apply here. But I mean, I could come away from this conversation either thinking A, I'm wrong, or thinking that B, I need to do more research, or C, I'm right. And to be honest, any of A and B would both be examples for me to learn new things. Here's what I keep coming back to when I have conversations with people in real time about this. Jesus says all of the laws of Moses, all of them, hang off these two commandments. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your mind. Right? And then number 2, love your neighbor as you love yourself. I can hang all these other sexual immoralities off of those. I cannot hang a loving homosexual relationship between two people of the same gender off that the same way.
Can I have a crack at it when everyone's done, please?
Sure, go ahead. Have a crack at it now.
Okay. So I think when Paul is warning, and certainly apostles are warning about sexual immorality, and certainly happens in 1 Corinthians too. I think they understand that you're going to get that definition of what that is from the scripture that precedes them. And that's where you're going to look for the compassing, because the idea of what is sexually immoral is predicated by the deity. So pronouncing the interaction between two men in that way as an abomination means he has predicated it, I think, pretty directly, about as directly as you can, as an immoral, sexual conduct. So it all boils down to God's choice on predication, and his predication is what's delivered in those passages giving prohibitions. And I think to say well, it doesn't necessarily include this because I feel like this should be okay, when I see, or contextualize an anecdote of a loving, committed, monogamous, homosexual union, it's not really an argument. It's just kind of begging the question. It's kind of special pleading that all the others are fine, but not this one, because I have a feeling about this should be acceptable. That's just kind of what I see. But if they're defining this term and saying, stay away from this, where else are they going to go other than these texts to define what God predicates as sexually immoral? So that's just my thought.
I see what you're saying. I mean, the word abomination lends credence to the case. Some of the Hebrew language tradition around this is somewhat compressive. So I want to really parse out that that's the real etymology and that's the real best translation for this. But I don't think in the New Testament, in the New Covenant, there is something that is clearly. Now we just lost somebody. Let's see, who did we lose just now?
It was the Chris guy, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Chris Moss.
Oh, all right. Well, let me bring up Batman. I am Batman, and if Chris rejoins, we can add him onto the queue too. Hey, what's up? I'm Batman.
Hello. Can
Good
you
to
guys
see
hear
you.
me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, good to see you again. Do you want to introduce yourself really quickly?
Yeah, I am a Christian. I love the Bible. I love to discuss philosophy, especially when it comes to the Bible. And I find myself kind of dipping my nose in the Old Testament a ton. Um, I also love science and technology and stuff like that. I am not a young earther, I'm a old earther. So there's that too. Um, I don't hold to eternal conscious torment, and I'm a
Mm.
open theist.
Well, we
So
have
I guess
people
there's
definitely
that too.
along a spectrum here. That's kind of interesting.
Wow, that's a lot. Oh my gosh, there's so much.
Yeah.
Right?
Open
Hey, you
theist
asked
too.
me
I
the
never heard
question.
of that. I never heard of that.
Which part, Adrian?
The open theist. I never heard of an open theist. I heard of an
It
agnostic
means God
theist.
doesn't know the future. It means God doesn't know the future. He's making educated guesses.
Oh, okay. Hey, that's what's up.
Faith from Fact says that Shang Tsai can come up. I want you to know, Shang, if you come up, I promise we'll be very courteous and respectful. There are a few people in the chat queue, actually, or just one, which is Atheist Luke. And Atheist Luke, I will try and get you up here pretty quickly. Okay, all right. Well, so here's the thing: is I think this word abomination is used for eating unclean animals, eating with Egyptians. Looks like it's also used. I'm just looking through some of my notes. Remarrying a former spouse after she's married another man, wearing clothing associated with the opposite gender. So that makes me backpedal on the strength of the word abomination here in this context.
Now, did you hear with the genders wearing the opposite gender's clothing, for example? I think that could I don't know. I think that even builds the case more, in my opinion, on God seeing that type of activity being an abomination in His eyes.
Smokey, Smokey, what's your channel? People are asking in the chat.
Oh, it's Cone Club Cult, all K's.
Well, do you want to put it in the chat, and then somebody in the mod will copy it and paste it?
Yeah, sure. Give me a second.
All right. Well, I mean, we've talked about a lot of other things. Do you want to? I'm happy to keep talking about this one. I feel like we're going to talk about it.
Oh, we could hop off something else.
Let's hop off to another topic.
Of course.
What was the other thing? I am Batman that you said that hell is eternal conscious torment. It seems like that got some reactions. I've made a video about that too. I'm kind of curious what people on the panel think about that.
I hold to conditional immortality. I think eternal conscious torment is not biblical. I wrote a whole paper on it.
Yeah. You're also Odin, right? Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm remiss on not getting. I read some of your papers last night. They were really fascinating. It was making theology very mathematical. We should do a whole talking with Tavo thing where we get into your ideas. I'd love that. They were really quite esoteric, but I think interesting. Well, I mean, I've also made a video. I don't think that hell is eternal conscious torment, but I'm happy to listen to verses or get counterpoints on that as well. Oh, okay. So Smokey is Coney Club Cult. So if okay.
That was a good point he made earlier. That was a great point. I like how he broke that down.
Which point?
Can I? Oh, sorry.
Which point?
No, go ahead. Oh gosh. The the one that he was basically it was basically a reply of what you was talking about when it came to the abomination stuff about basically how God said that was his present, like that was his, like that's his reason why, like what he was saying. I don't want to. I'm already messing up as it is, but his point of what he was talking about on the abomination point, I was giving him props on that. Go ahead, Batman.
Thanks to
My
Jed
bad.
Boems for reminding people to click the like button on this video. That's really great. Please also subscribe. And here's Smokey's channel, so it is there. So I will sub to it later for sure, Smokey, because I think I was trying to find you under Smokey and I couldn't find you. But now that we know what your channel is.
My last channel got 86 for talking about the anti-Semitism directed at me. So I'm gonna have to start another one. This was my backup, my original. So that's why it is. Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that, especially. I want you to know that I had like a few Orthodox Jews coming up on the channel, and we were very respectful. And I definitely would repudiate any condemnation or victimization.
Yeah, my wife was subjected to some really severe anti-Semitism, and I was exposing it and talking about it, and they didn't take the channel down that did it, but they took my channel down for covering it. So yeah, it's just the world of YouTube. So there you go. You know.
Well, that's not right. And I definitely, as much as we have heated theological conversations on here, that should never transgress into like blaming somebody, blaming an individual, and especially it should never transgress into like blaming a category of people under any circumstances. And I feel very strongly about that. You can say people are wrong, you can say belief systems are wrong. That doesn't mean that people are evil, and it especially doesn't mean that categorically any group of people is evil. So I'm glad you're here, Smokey, and I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it's all good, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for being so inviting. Appreciate it.
All right, hell is eternal conscious torment. What does the panel think?
I want to kind of comment on the homosexual stuff.
Oh, sure.
Real quick, and then we can move on if you guys see fit. So what I want to say is that we have to take into consideration the context and the reason why God gave those laws. And part of the goal of Israel's existence, right, is for them to essentially be a light to the nations, right, and for them to be holy, meaning they can't practice the same things the other nations were practicing, because God is looking at it from that perspective, and He's also looking at it from a health perspective. Because he didn't just necessarily, see, those practices that we just talked about as being even worthy of death, right? Even a heterosexual couple, if they're constantly engaging in adultery, right, they would also be put to death. Cleanliness was a part of being holy, right? And for example, the high priest has to go through a process of cleanliness, of cleansing himself before he can enter the holies of holies. So God is very particular about those things. And if you look at a lot of the promises that He's made, for example, in Deuteronomy to them, where He's saying, hey, if you do this and if you do this, then I will bless you and I will make you a nation of priests, right? But if you do the opposite of these things, these are the things that will happen to you. Unfortunately, they did the opposite of those things, right?
But doesn't that make that whole cleansing to be in the presence of the Holy of Holies? That's something that was done away with in the New Testament under the New Covenant.
Sure, I'm getting there.
Yeah.
I'm getting there.
Okay, gotcha.
Now, there's something that's really important that you have to understand, right? Is that when it comes, the old covenant is a shadow of the new, and there's a few things you have to keep into consideration, right? The reason, for example, why aspects in terms of judgment of people who might commit certain sins, right, could not be carried out is because, one, there's no temple. Two, there's no high priest, earthly high priest. Three, even if there was an earthly high priest, they don't have the ephod, that's the chest plate thing with the stones in it, and they don't have the Urim and Thummim, right? Those are the alleged like dice things that God would communicate with the high priest to pass judgment on someone for a particular situation, or if they're asking for strategy in a battle, for example, right? So in terms of the punishment that would be associated with certain sins, those are done away with. Now, what is still maintained is, for example, the process of atonement, where if someone commits a sin, right, they have a process of atonement that would allow for them to maintain their covenant relationship with God. And this is why earlier in the chat, when I posted those scriptures, I said one of the things that you notice is that Paul didn't condemn the people to hell, right? What he's telling them is he's basically warning them and say, hey, you need to stop all of these things, because if you don't, you won't enter the kingdom, right? So are those things, are those practices still a sin? Yes, right? That much is very clear. But in terms of, people being put to death over those sins, right? No one has the authority to do that. And not only that, the new covenant is a covenant of grace and mercy. And so if you do commit those sins, as long as you're alive, obviously, you have the opportunity to confess, atone, and repent of those sins. And funny enough, a lot of people don't really notice this, that atonement is a command from God. And this is Jesus in the Sermon on the Mount essentially repeated that atonement, but what he added was that if you offend someone, the person who's offended should forgive the person who comes for reconciliation, because if they don't forgive that person, the Father won't forgive them either.
Okay, I mean, that's interesting. Yeah. Well, let me tell you where I ended up landing on this after, because I'm not a priest. I'm not a minister. I have no community. And many times people have asked me to weigh in on this for personal reasons. And I've always said, look, you should not I'm not a theological scholar. I'm a university professor and a doctor. And I can tell you what I think based on a neutral scholarly reading of the relevant resources. But that doesn't mean that I'm authoritative. And I've talked to people who are like, I believe that homosexuality is a sin, and I myself am gay. And then I say, I think what you should do is make peace with God. You should atone in whatever way you see fit. And I can't tell you how to live your life beyond that, but if you're my friend and you want to not be gay, then, and that's what you see as righteousness, then I will stand by you and I will support you in that. I have another friend though, who is of a very different mind, who like me has read the scholarly resources and feels like there's at least some obscurity, feels at least like some of the statements of Paul are not quite clear. And with that individual, I had a conversation. I said, I would suggest you carefully read, and just, and if you believe after reading very carefully that it's not a sin, then I won't contradict you, and I'll still be your friend, and I'll still try to make you a less sinful person in whatever way I can as a good friend to you. So I look, I think this is a sticky issue, and I think we could go around on this for a lot more time, and I think that there are a lot of people who would have conversations who are more well-read in the relevant resources, who would be more decisive one way or another. But I feel like it doesn't break down as neatly with a consensus interpretation as we might think.
Well, can I give my final response to your abomination thing? You kind of said I didn't get to kind of
Oh, sure.
Go ahead. My bad.
Yeah, no, it's cool. No, it's cool. I just didn't want it to kind of get lost. So in that context, we were referencing the Council of Jerusalem, and sexual immorality was one of those things that was heavily focused on. And when you're bringing up these other things that are an abomination, like dietary laws or mixed fabrics or something like that, those aren't the things that are requantified or reaffirmed in that council. It's a different category. So in an abomination of God regarding it as a moral objection in that particular paradigm, it's not quite the same category to compare it to something that wasn't confirmed as carrying forward, in the council. I just wanted to say that. That was my
that's a valid observation. In other words, it carries more weight because it is
It's part of the category. It's part of the category of
yeah.
the sexual immorality that was defined in previous right. If they had said sexual immorality and dietary laws, well, what are they going to think the diet? Well, now they have to go back and find out what God prescribed all the dietary laws, because now those are being carried forward. That was
that's true. You know, there was a little bit of flexibility in the relevant Old Testament canon, for the Jews at least, all the way up to the 4th century. So there is some degree to which some things are canonical and some things aren't. Anyways,
that's all I wanted to say on that.
Yeah. Let's get back to the hell's eternal conscious torment. I'm kind of curious to see if anyone has a convincing passage on that to convince me. Like, I'm in the annihilationism school. Let's first deal with the question from the audience: is Smokey the same race? So can we be racist? We can't be racist against people. We shouldn't be prejudiced, as we said. But can we be racist against owls? I would say Smokey is probably a Tyto. There's 2 genuses of owls. There's Tyto and there's Strix. This is probably a Strix varia owl up here and I guess you guys can't see my cursor, but I would probably be Strigidae or Strix.
Wow.
And Smokey would be Tyto, probably a Tyto alba, although the color scheme is black and white. So I would say this is a Strix and this is a Tyto, and so we are different, not only different races but different genuses. So and different species. Yeah. So hopefully that team Strix or team Tyto, please weigh in the comment section which your preference of owl is, because we'll take discrimination against owls. All right, hell is eternal conscious torment. Let's see how far we can get on this.
Hey Smokey, you can't say anything against Tavo, because if you do, because he's a separate species of owl, God will strike you with leprosy. I'm just saying. Hopefully you guys get the reference. It's a stupid joke.
Well, we're all owls, and as far as everybody on the panel, I consider you all to be owls. So, all right.
Hooty hoo.
Right on. All right, well, let's keep going.
All right. So I guess I'll lay out my position. When it comes into it, I'm a annihilationist or conditional immortality, but I also have a large streak of hopeful universalism.
Ooh. So I was a hopeful universalist, and then I started.
Break that down. I never heard of that before. Don't mean to interject. I never heard of that position before.
So my approach was kind of like somewhat close to how a free gracer would approach rewards in heaven, right? Where there are some scriptures that talk about the God's holy fire basically refining a person, right, via their works, right? And so the idea in my head, this is quite a while ago, but the idea in my head is that when people would go to hell, right, hell is essentially refining them, so cleansing them of their sin, so they can exist in God's presence after some time. So that was kind of my universal, position, and that wasn't just for humans. That actually included the devil as well. And yeah, I was very, very wrong once I actually started reading and studying the Bible.
So here's my argument for hopeful universalism, and basically what it boils down to is this. Okay, there's many times in the Bible where God expresses this desire to gather everyone in, to bring everyone, to protect everyone, to draw all men to Him. However, in those very same passages, it seems like He's not getting what He wants, right? And for me, I realized that there was one thing I think that God could not overcome, and that would be His desire to allow us to be free creatures and allow us to choose against Him, right? But if you have this kind of really high view of God's power that he can even overcome our free will choice to turn away from him, that position would definitely make me a universalist, because I think it is extremely clear in the Bible that God wants to be a universalist. The reason I'm not a universalist, and it's only hopeful, is because in those very same passages, God is not getting what he wants. But he has the character of somebody the sort of shepherd who's like, if there's even one missing sheep, I'm going to find him. Or if there's one missing coin, I'm going to go find it.
I like that a lot. Faith and Facts. Really quick, Micah says, "Guys, why are we using AI for anything related to God? That is directly dishonoring God by ignoring the creative gifts that He gave us." I would agree with that. I don't. I don't.
I just use AI for my thumbnails. That's it, really.
Yeah.
So I disagree with that. And the reason for that is that AI is a tool that we can use. We can use our own creativity to create slop or to create excellence. Using AI as a tool to create slop or create excellence doesn't change anything any more than using, say, a chisel changes how you carve from the stone,
Yeah, I kind of think it's interesting because I think there is a certain amount of creativity to write the correct prompt to get what you want or get something specific with a creative forethought to it. So I think there's certainly some talent still required. Maybe not directly artistic talent, but there's certainly talent in writing AI prompts and knowing how to structure things in an AI space to get what you want. So
yeah, I'm of two minds on this. I don't know that I have a super strong feeling, but for instance, I'm a physician and a university professor, but there's a company in Canada that I do a lot of movie soundtrack work for. So I love doing soundtrack work. I make a lot of tunes and I do a lot of soundtrack stuff, and we are getting sort of pushed out. And even though I'm just kind of a hobbyist in that regard, we are getting pushed out a little bit by the AI music. So I think the question remains where you draw the line. In other words, if I'm like, oh, what's this Bible verse that says that? And then I look up something on ChatGPT, is that inherently immoral? I probably wouldn't say that. I think that's Google uses. I mean, you're going to search for something on Google and it's going to pull up something using AI anyways. So I think it's a good point, Mike. I don't know how I feel about that.
That's just using AI for research, for a research tool.
AI's quality depends a lot on how much ink has been spilled on the topic. And the Bible has had a whole lot of ink spilled about it,
Well, here's an interesting thing is, I made a long document of objectionable passages in the Bible and my responses to them, right? Very, very long document, did a lot of research. And then I went on AI and I said, what are some objection passages from the Bible? And I looked through the list and it gave me a bunch of them. And this is interesting to me. So, and it gave me all the ones that I already knew about. So I was like, okay, well, I know these. This was in preparation for my debate on objective ethics, and I was like, well, if I get called out on any of these, I want to have a good response. Now, when I asked AI, can you give me objection passages from the Quran? You know what it said? No, because that's going to be used to agitate people, and it's going to be used as a source of Islamophobia. And I was like, that is interesting to me. It's willing to give me the relevant passages from the Old Testament, from the New Testament, but not from the Quran. I thought that was really fascinating. So I don't know what the lesson is there, but I thought it was. I found that to be a really fascinating thing that happened to me. I was not expecting that, and it was like, I'm not even going to show you objectionable material from the Quran, even though most of the verses I'm familiar with, anyways. But because I don't want you to use this to stir up racism. And I was like, that is interesting. And I was like, anyways, make of that what you will.
As someone who is who's basically an artist, I do design pretty much for a living. I'm kind of, I agree. AI is a tool. There is a art to using props, right? Or prompts, I should say, right? I think I've seen what people can do with these things. So I can understand, the aspect of it pushing out, certain fields, so to speak. But I think that will only happen if we allow it. If we look at it as a tool that could help creators, right? Um, Instead of using it to replace creators, right? We can have our cake and eat it too when it comes to AI, right? And even if let's say Tavo gets, super famous with his voice work, and he's super old and he wants his family to still benefit from his work, right? He could probably have like a specific AI that's made, with his voice and his cadence and all of that stuff, and companies that want to use his voice could basically lease his AI for a job, and they will pay whatever monies towards his family, or whatever trust he has set up. So there are ways to use AI that I think is ethical, to where it won't replace artists, or just people in general. um, but I think that needs to be a decision made by people who are kind of at the top. Like, do you value money more than people at the end of the day? Like, you can value money and people, right? But do what's more important to you at the end of the day? That's my view on it ultimately.
Well said. Well said. I mean, one of the things that they were kind of holding my feet to the fire about yesterday in the discussion is slavery. And, I pulled up a quote, and I'll try and paraphrase it, but this was a quote from MLK, where he said, getting rid of slavery doesn't really help us all that much if you can't afford a place to live or afford food. If we all become a world of debtor slaves, then we're not really any better. I thought
He said that become a world of better slaves. Oh, damn. Go ahead,
well,
MLK. Hey,
but here's the point that
that's
I
the
was
point.
making here. Yeah, and I don't want to trivialize the fact that I don't want to trivialize any suffering of humanity in any epoch. But here's the point that I was getting to, is that the Bible advocates against usury, right? What provoked the largest period of exploitation of human labor, right? The industrial urban age in England and throughout Europe was a really dark period of labor forces getting exploited. That came about because just a few years before that, the laws around usury were relaxed markedly by the Anglican Church, right? Let me give you another epoch. In the 1990s, the laws around usury were, many of you don't remember this period, but the laws around usury were relaxed in the United States. And what happened as a result of that? The subprime mortgage crisis. In many regards, and millions of people lost their homes during that time period. It was really tragic. And actually, we've not yet recovered from that, right? And I would argue that we are in many ways becoming a nation, and in some ways a world of debtor slaves. In other words, we've outlawed slavery explicitly, but I think the Bible protections against exploiting each other through limiting usury would have been much more helpful. I realize this is a controversial viewpoint, but I think if we adhered closer to the Bible prohibitions against usury, we would not be a world of debtor slaves to at least some degree, right? I mean, there are people who are born into debt that they will never surmount until they get old and die. I mean, I finished medical school with about $20,000 or $30,000 of debt, right? Many of my
Dang.
colleagues are now finishing medical school, who are coming out of school with $500,000 of medical school debt, and they'll be working that off for the rest of their entire life. They lament that they're like, I'll finish repaying my debt when I'm retired. I just, and that's coming from people who are doctors. I shudder to think about, like, my random neighbor who works at the airport, who's a blue collar worker, and he's got 4 kids and he's trying to put them through college. Like, I shudder to think about many other neighbors that I have, and I just feel like, anyways, I can't remember what drove me onto this tangent, and I realize this is a hot take and a controversial viewpoint, but I really think that exploitation of others is the real core problem, and there are protections against
and I generally consider myself to be a little bit more on the capitalist side of things, but I agree. Like the thing is that capitalism doesn't mean we don't have any guardrails or anything against people abusing and exploiting each other. And we need to have those laws so that we can grow, right? Because free people will create things, right? We just have to remember that the trellis is not the vine.
Yeah, good point. Good point. I mean, what we owe is there is not enough. If I sold the United States, if I sold the entire country, all of its resources to pay off the debt that each person has and the United States has, it would be something like I could maybe cover 5% of the total debt of the United States. In fact, if you sold off the entire world, if you could sell off the entire world, it would still not cover all the debt that exists in the world. It's an issue. It's an issue.
We're gonna throw the moon in there pretty soon.
Yeah. Well, I think it's the greatest moral crisis of our time, and the reason why I think that is because I used to work a lot with the unhoused population, and what drives their cruelty towards each other in large degree is this scarcity mindset, right? They're all essentially fighting over scraps, and as a result, many people who are unhoused are really cruel to many other people who are unhoused. And I was struggling a lot when I was doing a lot of service with the unhoused in sort of reconciling, my desire to help them with the fact that they're really cruel to each other. But I understand their cruelty because it's born out of a scarcity mindset, and that scarcity mindset is the result of resource depletion. So
but I guess not my problem, but my thought about it is, it seems nearly impossible to cure scarcity because, for us, we are essentially in a post-scarcity for clean drinking water, right? Something that is incredibly valuable throughout history, right? And now, I can go anywhere, get a cup of water, and spill it if I want to, and get another one, and no one cares, right? And so I think we should work towards becoming post-scarcity on all these things that we need. I just don't know how to overcome our standard becoming higher, and now the scarce thing is something else, right? The scarcity moving around rather than being truly solved. Does that make sense?
I think a good example that you can look at is Switzerland. It always comes back down to resource management, because technically, right, Switzerland doesn't have half the amount of resources as the United States, right? It doesn't have as much farmland or nothing like that. Yet still, the quality of life is significantly better, and all of that comes down to resource management, and if I'm being honest, people management. I think the population has to want to have a country a particular way in order for it to flourish. I'll give you an example. So in the United States, I'm sure you guys have always heard there's a housing crisis, right? There's not enough homes for people in the United States. That is not true, right? The scarcity when it comes to homes, it's artificial. And and to show you how bad it is, right? The Senate and House passed a bill that would allegedly address this particular issue. And I read the bill. It's actually not bad, but they didn't attack the core reason why the scarcity exists in the first place. And the core issue comes down to vacancies being written off and companies using that as a method to basically hold on to properties as long as possible until they get the price that they want. If there's no downside to keeping vacancies, then owners of properties are going, they're going to hold on to it for as long as possible. You also run into the problem of after the 2008 crash, right? All of these companies, private equity companies, bought up millions of homes for basically pennies.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? And
Yeah.
now they basically have a stronghold on the market. So even if they can't get people to get into those homes or apartments, guess what? They can just write it off. They're not losing money from it. And so until that particular issue is actually addressed, right, which forces the market to function as it should within a capitalistic society, then we're always going to have this particular housing issue.
Let me jump in really quick because I do want to do some housekeeping. Atheist Luke has been waiting for a while now. I know we have Cross of Christ. Does anyone want to hop off?
I can say one thing and hop out if that's cool.
Sure.
Yeah. So yeah, it's not only that too. Part of it too is the greed component of all builders because really the lack is entry level housing. Like it's the smallest ever. Like
That's
most
true,
people,
most
people, like especially starting out in life, they don't have, they can't invest $400,000 or $500,000 in a house. And the thing is, the builders, they're not building anything in entry level areas with entry level construction. If they can get a hold of a plot of land, they're going to optimize the highest maximum they possibly can, and they're not in the business of wanting to make affordable housing. There's no real incentive there generally for them. So
true. That's very true.
But in any case, I'm going to bow out, let you bring some people. I know
Smokey,
there's
let's talk some more, Smokey. You're welcome to email me. Anybody on this channel, you've all had thoughtful things to say. I'd love to okay, but I'll bring up.
I'm a sub to your channel, Smokey.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, maybe Tavo, we could have like a Trinity discussion or something sometime.
I'd be over the moon, Smokey.
Okay, sweet. Okay, awesome. All right, well, thank you guys, and thanks for being so generous and letting me up. It was fun.
God bless.
This was interesting. Yeah, you guys have a great afternoon.
Good to see you, Smokey. Nice to meet you finally.
Do I have to be an owl to get a Trinity conversation?
Oh, I'm gonna bring up Atheist Luke because Atheist Luke has been waiting for a long time. I know you're waiting still. Cross of Christ. I'll bring you up too.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, Atheist Luke. Good to see you.
So I just
another file. My bad.
So I just wanted to provide some of my points regarding the homosexuality debate. I know you all moved on from that, but that's what I joined here for. If that's okay.
Sure. Yeah, good to see you. By the way.
So if it's okay, I'll just post it in the private chat. So if anyone gets confused with what I'm saying, you can just read it for yourself. Things like sex between an adult and a child, sex between two siblings, sex between a son and a father.
Can I just cut in just to say, I just want to make sure we're not using any language that's going to get us demonetized here. I'm just looking at your chat. There's nothing here that could get us demonetized, right?
The worst thing is sex.
Okay, all right. I think that's fine. Yeah.
Things like sex between an adult and a child, sex between two siblings, sex between a son and a father, those things can be medically proven to be bad. But sex between two consenting, unrelated adult men are just as medically genuine as sex between two consenting people of opposite sexes. And even if there was something medically bad about homosexual sex, you forget that there are people who are romantically gay, not sexually gay. This is known as homoromanticism. Anyone has a response to that?
Never heard of that in my life.
Why don't you keep going, though? There's more to the comment. So.
Yeah. My only note would be that there are when it comes to the Levitical passage, at least, there are ones that would not cause any sort of physical defects relationships that are included in that list of things that are sexually abominable. And so I don't think that homosexuality not having a medical issue would be relevant in a certain sense. Sorry, that was just my note on that. Please continue. I like what you're saying.
I do have a follow-up on that for you as well, which is, would homoromanticism, would that be an abomination?
This is my opinion. Okay. I don't have a problem with homo-romanticism because my feeling is that it is the sexual act that matters. And if you love a guy but don't have sex with him, you're basically best friends, you know? And that's kind of my take on it. But other people, like, you know, I don't know what they'd say.
Can I just go on in real quick? Let me just say, like, for example, like, I love like my best friend Hiram, or I love my best friend Ace, right? They're homies, right? Like I have a friendly relation with them, but you're not going to see. I'm not in love with them. I think there's a difference between being in love with and loving them.
It's easy to distinguish between platonic love and non-platonic love.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, my second point would be the only reason people developed anti-homosexual beliefs is because back in those times, the human population was severely smaller than it is today, and the mortality rate was extremely high. So, of course, people would begin valuing procreative relationships over non-procreative relationships. But you know what's cool? We don't live in those times anymore. We live on a planet of 8 billion other people, and we now have a drastically lower mortality rate. You have no excuse anymore to condemn homosexual relationships.
Well, I mean, I think that's well said. Let me give you just one reflection on one of the things that you said. You know, a lot of people aren't aware of this data, but in terms of male homosexuality, it does track with increasing birth order, right? So what I mean by that is if you are a woman and you give birth to a son, okay, then he has a certain baseline percentage chance of being gay. The baseline percentage chance marginally, incrementally increases with each integer value multiplier of birth order, meaning that your second son is marginally incrementally more likely to be gay than the first son. The third son is marginally incrementally more likely to be gay than the second, and so on and so forth. Now, what's interesting about this is this does seem to be preserved in mammals. Now, what's interesting about that is that suggests that this might be a way of sort of controlling population in a time of resource scarcity, meaning that if you have a bunch of male children, right, and they can't all if there's more of them and the later ones are less incentivized to start families and reproduce on their own, then that's a way of sort of controlling your population growth while mitigating for resource competition. It's an interesting, it's not only in humans, it's also in the biological world. It also suggests that there is what is now probably a poorly understood biological mechanism for homosexuality. But anyways, that's just my medical insight that I'm offering.
Is that like a version of if we accept gay people, the more people become gay and the population would be threatened because, you know, reproduction?
No, it's the opposite of that. It says that with basically a higher birth order male, the odds of that basically later birthed males become increasingly feminized and therefore have lesser children, which means that if there's a time of population growth where there's resource scarcity, that the later born males will be less competing for resources in the same area among the same population. Hopefully that makes sense.
Well, my response, if it was that argument, would have been homosexuality has been in nature for like millions, billions of years, and it has literally done nothing to any species.
Yeah. That's hopefully that didn't come across as the point that I was making, but yeah. But let's get some other comments from the panel.
So I don't given that in this kind of Leviticus 18 perspective, what's also being condemned are heterosexual relationships that could produce children. I don't see procreation as being in view in Leviticus 18 as being the main issue.
I agree there.
Oh, okay. So you're saying that it's the correlation's just coincidental, that procreation was necessary alongside, you know?
I'm saying that argument for why the prohibition against homosexuality is no longer valid, which I'm completely open to, right? I don't see it as working because the reasoning of the text is not this is because this produces bad offspring or no offspring. Does that make sense?
Well, we can
really
even
quick, just
see in
goodbye
the
really quickly, goodbye to Smokey. Thanks for joining, and please check out his channel. And Smokey, reach out to me, and so we can have some collaborations. And then TNC Apologetics is doing a debate tomorrow. It sounds like he's inviting me to pop up there, but he's got a fantastic channel. He's up there with
CNC.
yeah, great channel. So
But yeah.
it says God bless us all. I really appreciate that. God bless TNC. I agree with that. So really good to see you, TNC.
That's right.
Tune in
God
for that,
bless,
even
bro.
if
We
I
can
can't
even
make it.
see culturally back then that people valued the production of multiple children over like a single child or no children. So
With Leviticus, I'm just 18 and 24, because we already said Leviticus 22 when we already went over Leviticus 18:29. Just on 24. Do not defile yourselves by any of these practices. Like, this is stuff he sees this as practices that we need to abolish. You feel what I'm saying? Don't defile yourself. Defile your body by going with these practices. Levitical law.
okay, but why are we presupposing that the Bible is a valid source to derive your morality from to begin with?
And I told you already on the chat that all scripture is God breathed. That's why I hold it high as saying that that's why the Bible to me has that validity.
And while Luke and Adrian, while you probably won't see eye to eye with each other on that, I think Luke, you should, if you haven't checked it out, you should check out the CTF argument, because my argument has never been that like I think there's at least an observation to be made, and I think it's a strongly based case in the empirical data around the scholarship that there are numerous people who are the figureheads, who are the fountainheads of important seminal works in the last 100 years in sociology, political science, philosophy, ethics studies, who have quoted the Bible and who have done so directly and constructively, even though those people were atheists. And again, I'm talking about seminal papers in each of those fields. That suggests to me that there are, at the very least, important moral lessons in the Bible.
Yeah, I do agree with some of what the Bible says.
You gotta love one another as yourself. I mean, don't malign no one. That includes homosexuals too, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Well said, Adrian. Well said.
Yeah. And one of the things that I'll say is that when I still am bi, and so when I went to the Bible, I really had to think through a lot of these passages and the reasoning and all that kind of fun stuff about it, you know? And so, like, yeah, like, and a lot of my opinions were formed through that experience.
So does anyone?
So can I actually want to address atheist Luke. One of the things I want you to understand is that, like, in the scriptures, right, like, God isn't just isolating one group or like population of people with just like one proclivity. He gives a list. Even heterosexual intercourse, right? Obviously outside of marriage, right, is something that is forbidden and is a sin. And so it's not a situation where God hates homosexuals, right? It's a situation where God understands that a proliferation of certain acts, right, can lead to a certain type of corruption in humans, right? And so,
Yeah.
he's not giving these instructions for the purposes of just, just arbitrarily. The goal is to, quote unquote, allow for someone to be holy. And even though I quoted those two scriptures about what Paul is talking about, these particular issues in the church, homosexuality included, right? He doesn't condemn them. What he's telling them is that they need to stop those specific practices. But Paul also addresses the issue of, denying oneself. If you have a certain proclivity that if you engage in it, right, then your goal right, regardless of your disposition, is to prevent yourself from doing those things that would put you in an unholy state, right? Like, I live in New York City. New York City is filled with beautiful women, right? I'm not married, and it's not
Yeah.
like it's a situation where, I can't, like it's not super super difficult to engage in intercourse, but I have to do it because I value my relationship with God. I value the spiritual state of the other people who are around me. I don't want to participate in anything that will cause them to fall into sin. And so I have to remain disciplined and deny myself this activity. Now, yes, you can make the argument and say, yeah, well, you're heterosexual. If you find a wife, right, you can then engage in sex with your wife. And that's a fair point. But I don't know if I'll ever find a wife, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. For all I know, I'll be sexless for the rest of my life. And that's something that, if I'm being honest with you, I wrestle with almost every single day. So I just want to, kind of throw that out there. We don't, we're not condemning people for a disposition they were born in.
Well,
Well, I
I
just
think
Yeah.
wanted
I think you're
Yeah.
making a really good point, and tangential to the point you're making is a realization that you can be heterosexual and have a lot of sexual immorality in your life.
well, I just
So,
wanted to
Yeah.
I think that point does get glossed over whenever we engage in this discussion that, like, many of us, I would argue that I was a very immoral person as a heterosexual, for most of my life, and it's a point that gets glossed over when we say, like, oh, I'm straight and therefore I'm not sitting. No, that's there's no way you should think that, and I don't think anyone on this panel would necessarily think that, but at least in the general discussion, I think it is a point that gets missed. We
Yeah.
are at 2 hours and 20 minutes, and we've got Cross of Christ and Objective Ethics who
Oh
want to talk
shoot.
about. So
I'll hop on. I'll hop off, Tavos. Thank you for having me on. This was a great discussion. I wish next time we'll get into that eternal damnation in hell. Like, what's the difference? Like,
I'd love
what's
that.
y'all
I'd love that.
opinions on? We'll get into that. God bless each and every one of y'all. And yeah,
Hey, Adrian,
I'll see y'all next time.
let's make a song together. Zara will sing the hook, and I'll like do the composition, and you like make the beats, and like,
Dude, let's do it. All it is just a yes. I mean, in matter of fact, if I get your email or something, I'll like send a sample or something like on the day off, Wednesday and Thursday. I'll cook up something by this week, bro.
yeah, I think everybody already
Just tell me
knows.
the genres.
Yeah, everybody knows this, but here's my email. It's just that at gmail.com, and it's on my channel
Okay,
page too. So yeah, let's mix it up. Yeah, okay, all right. So, and
I'm
then
with
if
it.
we'll bring up Cross of Christ, and we'll
God
bring
bless
up.
y'all. Thank
Good
you.
to see you, Adrian. Really great to
God
see you.
bless you.
Can I
Take
continue?
care.
Yeah, go ahead, Luke. Yeah, sorry.
So I just want to say,
I was
even
gonna
if
bring
you
up Cross.
don't condemn the
Sorry.
people and all you do is condemn the practice, I'm just saying even that is like invalid. Oh wait, his mic isn't being.
No, we can hear you. We can hear you, Luke.
Yeah, we can hear you.
No, I was saying
Were
I
you
am
finished
not
talking?
mute.
Oh, you I thought you were still talking.
I was talking
Um
to you.
I mean that's fine, for this so I don't like to use this
Can I just
example.
ask a question as
Sure.
housekeeping first? Max, you're still here, right?
Yeah.
Do you would you or who does somebody else want to drop off and so I can bring objective ethics up?
I was gonna drop down.
Okay, and then I'll bring you up after you get this, and then we'll bring up OE.
Yeah. I was gonna drop. I got some things I got to do, but I'll listen in the back. I mean, to address your point, you know, if that's how you feel, that's how you feel. But ultimately, one of the things about being a Christian is that it's not just about how I feel and what I want. The core aspect of Christianity is self-sacrificial love, which means denying oneself for the sake of others, right? And so if it's a situation where denying myself is going to prevent others from falling into sin, right? And being pushed further away from Christ, then that's basically what I'm gonna do, because that's just I believe is just my natural disposition as someone who is saved, who values people and engages in self-sacrificial love. And I hope that kind of satisfies your position. Before I go, Tavo, I wrote a paper on God's omniscience in light of a growing block universe. Um, I will post the link. I will email you that paper. I think you'll find it super interesting. It came to my mind based on your conversation earlier with I think it's Kurt.
Dr. Kurt, yeah. I'd love that. Yeah. Your other articles were really fascinating. I mean, we should do a talking with Tavo where we just go into your thesis, because it's a little bit. I couldn't repeat it back to you now, but it's quite involved, and this is just from a quick skim of the 3 papers that you sent me.
Yeah, it's a lot that goes into that.
Yeah,
yeah, it's like 2.5 years of work, pretty much. But that aside, God bless all of you. It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me up, and I hope whoever that is not in Christ will eventually come to Christ, and knows that regardless of what others might say, it's really the words of Christ that matters the most in terms of how we should treat people.
Oh yeah, I agree. Jesus had some good messages.
Yeah. So take care, y'all.
Good to see you.
Just drop me back.
Thanks for joining. Nice to have you on the chat.
So someone earlier said, I forgot who it was. Someone said that a sexual practice having no medical issues is irrelevant. Who was that?
Yeah, so that was my point. And basically, when we look at the Leviticus 18, there's not necessarily going to be, say, a problem in terms of like genetics or anything like that, physically between, say, a man and his brother's wife, right? Because they're presumably not genetically related in the relevant way. They're probably going to be healthy with regards to sex and that sort of way. And so the objection here is not that that it is a physical medical issue. Does that make sense?
Well, I just wanted to say that every other sexual immorality you posit has a medical disadvantage to it that's been proven many times. It's just homosexuality is the only one that you condemn that doesn't have that medical issue like all the others do.
No. So with your daughter-in-law is also there, both with a woman and her daughter is there. There would not be a genetic issue in that case. I think there was one more that I was thinking about. I'm sorry. With your neighbor's wife, there's probably not going to be that issue. So, yeah, I just don't see the determining factor here being that there was thought to be some sort of medical issue.
Well, you can condemn having sexual relations with your daughter-in-law, not by theological reasons, but by the how do I say this? The power dynamic.
Right.
Being a parental figure, like that makes it. That's what makes it immoral, not that it's divinely immoral.
Right.
So we do have Cross of Christ and Objective Ethics, and we're at 2 hours 20 minutes. I'd love to get them to at least say a quick blurb about themselves and get them to contribute whatever they'd like to the chat. I will probably be wrapping this up fairly soon-ish, but
could you let Faith from Facts make his response?
Oh, sure.
No, sure. I think we've said what needs to be said at this point.
I mean, look, I think these are hard issues. I think I appreciate that these are not super easy to resolve issues. So
is actually very easy to resolve. You see, there's nothing wrong with homosexual relationships, so just be okay with it.
What?
What?
Well, I would, if you haven't already checked it out, Luke, you should check out the video that I made on this very topic. But let's see if Cross of Christ or Objective Ethics wants to like pitch in with a specific topic, or if you just. And I was on Objective Ethics channel yesterday, so if you haven't already seen it, and again, if one of the mods wants to put Objective Ethics channel up, it's just youtube.com/@objectiveethics. Then I'll highlight it as well, and people should definitely check out that chat. It was really wonderful. We went for 4 hours, and we actually went for a few hours after that. So it was taxing, but really wonderful. So good to see.
Is there anyone in the backstage? Because I'm willing to just go for them.
No, we're wrapped up. We probably won't be accepting more people now, and we'll probably wrap up soon.
Right.
But Atheist Luke, I do owe you a more thorough conversation, and I do hope that you check out the video on our channel.
Yeah, I was wondering if you're still willing to go with that cosmology debate.
Sure, totally.
Now, Cross of Christ, I know technically you were in front of me, and I do not like to be rude. I'm at work, and I have just like less than 90 seconds to get this out. Do you mind if I jump in front of you, family?
Yeah.
I really appreciate that's very generous of you. Tavo, thank you so much for bringing me up. As always, it's such a pleasure to speak to you. Really enjoyed our conversation yesterday. Just a little teaser out there. We're going to be doing Bible contradictions next week on Sunday, 4 p.m. Eastern. So if any of you are biblical literalists or like to tackle that subject matter, I'd love to have you guys stop by and check out the show. We do an open panel. That's really what I initially came up to just to plug really quick, because I know some people with the apologetics do enjoy those kind of back and forths. However, I'd be remiss if I didn't say how disturbing it is to hear some of this bigotry. You know, if you believe in this God character, and I just grant that this God exists, which I don't think does, but let's say I just grant for the sake of argument, it's demonstrable that gay people don't choose to be gay. They're born this way. So that means this God character is creating gay people, and you're vilifying them for engaging in what is a natural act that any heterosexual couple would be engaging in. Now, you can say there are heterosexual sins, but there's a way out of that in a heterosexual relationship through marriage. So if you're going to say that gay marriage is now somehow wrong, you're just special pleading for something that you think is interpreted in the Bible. And I would encourage you to look at what critical scholarship has actually said about this matter. Someone like Dan McClellan and have addressed this. I think they've done a really comprehensive job, and they're well qualified to speak on this topic. But even if I just grant that all this is true, let's just grant that it is a sin. This just shows how morally degenerate this religion can be. And I'm sorry to have to say this. I'm not trying to be mean to you guys, but I don't know how else to say it, right? I mean, I believe in objective morality, and I believe that we should treat all people equally and fairly and justly. And Tavo and I talked about this yesterday. What does justice mean, right? It means treating like cases alike. You guys would not want someone telling you who you had to marry or who you could and couldn't sleep with. You would not want that. So to then flip the script and say, well, it's okay because it's written in this book, who I can tell who should and shouldn't be engaging in what kind of behavior, when it's consenting adults, right? I mean, I just feel like that is so hypocritical. It's beyond the bigotry of it. It's the hypocrisy of it that really, really bothers me. I really do love all of you as human beings. I consider you're all my brothers. I have to get back out of the office here, but I appreciate you guys letting me come up here. I'm an open door, right? My channel's up there. Anybody's welcome to check me out. I do a live open panel every Sunday, and everybody's welcome to participate. So, you know, despite our difference in views, I see everyone on here as my brother, not my enemy. So I do hope that you just take this for what it is. All right, guys, thank you so much.
Yeah, and I hope OE you check out my video on this topic for sure. I'm glad you're here. By the way, I hope that your wife's dad is okay. I know you're off now, but I hope your wife's father. Yeah, I know he left, but I do hope that your wife's father is okay. OE, I hope that's going okay. I think he went into the ICU yesterday. So
yeah, but that guy's completely right. There is no reason to condemn gay marriage or vilify it.
Yes, there is. Can you hear me?
Oh yeah. Cross of Christ, is that you? Yeah, good to see you.
Yeah, that was a very concerning rant that I just listened to.
What?
Well, I would suggest
wanting to treat everyone equally is concerning to you.
If it's okay with you, I would suggest that we move on, just because we have spent a lot of time on this topic, and I mean, if I'll let you have a statement, but how about this? Given that we have limited time left, let's not do too much back and forth after that. Yeah. But if you want to give a counterpoint, Cross of Christ, I'd love to hear what you have to say. and then let's try and talk about other things until we wrap up. And
Like,
just few
I also have one thing I'd like to say.
The whole marriage thing is an instigated thing by God, right? In this religion, right?
No, it's instigated by humans. No.
There's literally no reason for anyone to seek gay marriage other than just desecrating a religious tradition. That's why they're doing
secular societies. There's marriage in secular societies.
You don't need to if you're two men, you don't need to get married. That doesn't make any sense to be married unless
there's no legal benefits from marriage.
Desecrating a religion.
Well, I think we're not talking. Let's just say for argument that we're talking more broadly about homosexuality / homoromanticism.
Well, I'm just saying, like straight people, right? You get married to a wife because it's the religious tradition. It's what you do. Like
you file taxes
part of your
together?
religion to get married.
You get tons of legal benefits from being married.
Also, so what if religion meant something else
And someone said there
originally?
was
Language
someone said there
changes,
was-
my guy. Language changes, my guy.
Someone said there was no medical problems with homosexuality. They have a
There isn't.
crazy amount of medical problems.
The only medical problems are with homosexual sex is the same problems that all other forms of sex have.
Well, I guess we could stay on this topic. I mean, if everyone
I
wants to keep talking about it, we keep chatting about it.
So,
I mean, I'm genuinely curious, Cross of Christ. What is a medical problem with homosexuality?
No, what's a problem that only homosexual?
Okay. Well, I mean, there are many problems, right? First of all, you can have rectal prolapse, incontinence. You don't get these in straight couples.
I guess my question is, those aren't really inherent issues to homosexuality, right?
Well, they are.
But it would be with sleeping with a man like you sleep with a woman, though. Like, does that make sense?
I guess, I guess I
Saying
see what
there's
you're
no
saying,
medical
but I
problems
mean,
in homosexuality is wrong.
I would say that's a very literal interpretation of it. I mean,
sorry.
if you're practicing, I mean, but like, in other words, I hate to have homosexuality distilled down to the act of anal congress, for lack of a better word.
It's not. There's homoromanticism.
Yeah, and remember, on
Well,
my
and also-
personal view,
also
homoromanticism is fine.
Men with women could have what I'll politely refer
Men and
to.
women can have STD problems. What's your point?
Well, I think his problem is rectal prolapse specifically, which is a real medical problem. But that's not. That's not. I guess my point is, though, that's not. Maybe it's better if we just sort of like skip over the medical.
All I was saying was that there are medical problems because the other guy said there wasn't, and that's just dishonest.
Well, I'm going to.
Let's put it this way: are there medical problems with homosexuality inherently? I would argue that there's no data around that, at least.
Right.
In other
So
words, there's nothing intrinsic or inherent to homosexuality that leads to any medical problem that we know of.
I want to work within acts of crisis theology that even if there is inherent issues to like homosexual sex, that could just easily be a result of the fall, not of the love itself. What if in an unfallen world you can have homosexual sex just without all the issues you're positing?
I don't understand what you're talking about.
Okay.
It's morally wrong, right?
I mean, Carnivorous Ape has a point in the chat, and I don't want to put his point on the screen, but I'll just say you can also have problems with posterior pelvic compartment pathology, I'll say, from just having a baby, right? If you have a baby, then you will also have problems with your posterior pelvic compartment in terms of the competence of the pelvic floor from a medical standpoint.
But straight men don't have babies.
No, but women can have the posterior pelvic compartment pathology. I mean, I'm happy to move on to a different topic, though. I mean, just because I feel like we have been on this for a while, and I feel like we're not.
Yeah, I'm happy to move on.
Okay.
Yeah. So before we move on, I just want to say that I feel like one thing that he did was he kind of accused me of being a bigot, and I want to say that the atheist who was speaking previously. The objective ethics, sorry. And I just want to state very clearly that I very much disclaim hatred or discrimination towards people on the basis of their sexuality.
I do hate to police your language, but I just want to police the language a little bit in the chat. Let's try to not use any phrasing, any words that make anyone...
reason...
Well, hold on, Luke. Let me just get this thought out because I think it is important.
All right.
We try to be as respectful as we can to everyone, and I really want to create a welcoming space. Now, if you have strong opinions that you have to express, I can definitely appreciate that. I would ask that you try to moderate yourselves, just sort of when you're typing something, just ask yourself, is this the best way to phrase this? Is this the way I have to phrase it to make the point that I want to make? I'm not going to delete anyone's comments, but I want you to be kind to each other. It's way more important to me. It's more important to me that you all have nice conversations and have kind discourse and learn things. And that's actually far more important to me than any specific theological goal that I have. That's actually really important. I'm not a pastor. I'm not a minister. I'm not going to this is not a channel for proselytizing. It's a channel for discourse and conversation and openness to questions. But in order to create that environment, we really do have to use language that is kind, accepting, tolerant. And even if we say that, there is a particular act that is sinful, I'm okay with saying this act is sinful. I think we should all sort of acknowledge, and I think everybody on the panel would agree with this, that we would parse that out from saying these people are bad, these people are sinners, these people are in some way wrong.
So I just wanted to say that even if you're not hateful or discriminatory about your beliefs, like people who are homosexual, if you keep on teaching people that, it will inevitably culminate in discrimination.
I don't know that I agree with that. I mean, I think you can say this act is something that I consider to be immoral.
If you teach kids something is theologically bad, they might as well think, why don't we criminalize it?
No, for humans to do that in a way that parses out the theological, moral, philosophical considerations around a practice from, the actual nature of the being that's committing that act, I think is difficult to do. It's challenging. That doesn't mean it's something that we shouldn't strive for. In other words, let's try and sort of have the discourse based on the best that we can possibly be, rather than the lowest common denominator.
So you said you wanted to move on from this topic. Is there?
I personally would like that, but I don't. I mean, I kind of feel like that we've gone as far as we can go. If anyone wants to have a debate about this, I'm happy to do that at a different time.
I'm also happy to do that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's keep going. Any other? We're probably getting close to the time where we should really start wrapping up.
The problem is, right? We live in a world where that point of view is absolutely protected by governments and everything. You can't say anything against it, otherwise your life gets destroyed. But
what point of view?
If you're pro-homosexual,
that's a good view. You're trying to get liberty for these marginalized groups.
I'm just saying, we live in a world where they're heavily protected, right? And if you
let's do this because we are kind of at a point where I should try to.
It's not a topic you can debate because you're not allowed to, because only one side is allowed to have the opinion.
No, there's absolutely countries that are not homosexual.
Well, how about this? Because I do feel like I would like to switch topics, and also I sort of need to wrap up.
Yeah. I didn't even think I was joining to talk about this.
Yeah, well, I mean, Cross of Christ, it's really great to have you here all the time. And what I would suggest we do now is kind of go to wrap-up mode, where we each take a few minutes and just talk about some of the things and it can be from any part of the conversation that we've had today, things that we've listened to, or things that we want to talk about.
You guys want to talk about
this conversation? This conversation was meant to be sort of I'll take all questions about Christianity. I'm always happy to do that. I do this live open panel every Monday, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and I'm also going to be on tomorrow night with on day 3. But if anyone, let's start off with Max, and we'll go around the group, and then I'll do the last one.
Are we talking about closing statements now to wrap up?
I think these are closing statements to wrap up. And Max, I really should have engaged you and brought you into the conversation more. I'm remiss.
I just have trouble inserting myself when people are arguing. I should really speak up more on my own, but I won't. So closing statements. There's something, maybe I should mention something I'd like to talk about in the future if we don't have time for it, just so you
I'd love that. Yeah.
Usually it's KJ who brings this up about bad things Christians did in the past, and then there's a whole debate over who's a real Christian or not. I'd like people to think about in the future, how would you define a real Christian for me?
I would define a Christian as actually adhering to what that name means, Christian.
Well, I would, just a reminder, we're kind of out of the discourse mode, kind of more moving into the closing statement mode.
Yeah, but that's just a future topic.
It's a great topic idea. And here's what I would suggest: if you want to operationalize that into specific questions, we can. You should send me an email about that, Max, because I'd love to how to formulate the question. I'd love help on that, and I'm happy to. That's something we talk about next week. I'd love that.
Okay. Yeah, but beyond that, the whole argument that people got into, I don't want to dig that back up by commenting on it again because we're settled with that last argument. But
I'm curious. This is closing statement time, so as long as we don't have too much crosstalk, you're welcome to say whatever you like.
I generally think that atheist Luke is correct. I just didn't, insert myself in the conversation. But I think that there are reasons why gay people would get married because society offers many benefits for marriage, and I think it's beneficial for them to have that right.
Good point. Yeah.
But that's basically it. Maybe in the future I'll talk more instead of sitting in the sidelines. But that's about all I have to say about it.
Yeah, marriage is explicitly a legal contract.
Again, I want running the risk of getting back into the discourse phase. This is kind of closing statement phase. So this is kind of where we wrap up.
Yeah, that's fine.
But having said that, I think you're next. So if you want to give a closing statement, Atheist Luke.
Well, I just want to know if you would have a formalized debate with me.
Sure, I'd love that anytime. Yeah.
Is there any topic you would like to do specifically?
No, whatever you'd like to do. This is more about me being open to conversations and people stress testing my theological worldviews. So anything you think you'll prove me wrong about, I'd be happy to chat about.
Yeah, I'm happy to discuss with you through emails.
Yeah. I liked your closing statement too, Luke. I like the statement that you put in the chat. I think it was helpful to have it there.
Yeah, I would just like to know if you had any actual refutations to any of the points I made there.
In your comment?
Yeah.
No, I agree with it. I agree with what you said. I would suggest you check out my video on the topic because that's where I expound on this. I would say that the only thing I would sort of disagree with is it wasn't something in that statement, but it came up throughout this conversation where I do think somebody can say this is an unethical or immoral practice, and that I don't think is it harmful to say that?
It can result in people discriminating against one another. So yeah, I would say it's a harmful belief that should be exterminated.
I don't think of beliefs as things that should be exterminated. I think
I don't actually believe that. I just said that.
Yeah. Well, anything else you want to say, Atheist Luke? Do you have content coming out? Is there stuff coming up on your channel?
I just want to. Well, I am wanting to do more videos, but one thing I just wanted to point out is I think we can make a distinction that this is the same one that Brandon Sanderson used. I don't know if you guys know him. You can theologically disagree with a group, but you can at least civically support them.
Nice. That's a great thought. That's a really good point.
Distinction.
Yeah. Well, let's turn it over to Cross of Christ now, but let's first just a quick comment. Alexis Olivas. I actually did a whole video about this simulation.
We are in a simulation, guys.
Yeah, I did a whole video about this, Alexis. I hope it's like the 4th or 5th video that I did on this channel. So
if we're in a simulation, that means the theists were correct.
That's interesting that some people would argue that. Well, let's turn it over to Cross of Christ, and then we'll do Faith from Facts, and then I'll wrap it up.
Well, I mean, he said it's a simulation, right? I mean, this world is a test, and our lives are being watched and tested by God, right?
Yeah, but it means digitally.
Sorry?
Yeah, but what they mean by that is digital simulation, not some metaphorical simulation.
It could be. I mean, maybe God did use digital to do everything,
Yeah, fair enough.
Like they said, well, I mean, a simulation requires a dev, right? And dev just comes from the word deus.
Yeah,
God.
It's just one of those unfalsifiable hypotheses.
But as opposed for that unmentionable topic, I mean, like, see, I'm in my country, I can't speak negatively or against or opposed or have a disagreeing opinion on that lifestyle.
Was it like
belief
Canada or
system.
something?
No, I'm in Australia. Like, I go
Oh.
into the community center and there's a big trans flag on the wall. Why is it there? It has no purpose being there, but it's there. And I
It's
can't
to
say a
show
word
civic
against it.
support for a marginalized group, which is a good
Well,
thing, no matter
again,
what.
But the problem is the fact that the flag there
let's let
shows they're
Cross
not
of Christ.
marginalized.
Let's let Cross of Christ make their statement, because this is sort of the.
I mean, he asked a question.
They're not marginalized because the flag's in the building. Like, it's like they're the protected group, and you have to accept it and shut your mouth, and you can't say nothing. If you do say something, they will seek to destroy your life for it. People have had their lives destroyed for going against this. So you just have to bite your tongue and just pretend it's not there. And it's just like, why am I going into a community? Like, this building has nothing to do with sex. Why is this sex flag in this building?
Transgender people has nothing to do with sex. What are you talking about?
Did you just say transgender has nothing to do with sex?
Well,
I mean, it's not inherently about sex.
Let's again.
The whole thing is about.
The goal is this is kind of the wrap up phase. This is just to give everybody a chance
But
to speak.
anyway, that's why I can never debate on this topic, because I'm not allowed to.
Doesn't Australia have free speech?
Not against homosexuality.
All right. Well, let's keep going. So, anything else you want to add, Cross of Christ, stuff you're working on?
Australia does not have free speech. It doesn't. America.
Okay, well, I have a question for you, Cross of Christ. Do you are you working on a video where you give your personal narrative testimonial? Because I think that would be really, really riveting.
I've made a video of, like, when I saw Jesus and all that. I've made a video on that.
Okay, yeah, I'll check that out. I think
it's just click oldest video.
Okay, cool. I'll check that out.
Yeah, most of my channel is just full of AI slop music.
Okay, well, let's go to Faith from Facts now. But really quick, Topher Phi 12345 says 132 more subs until I tell you all my rapper moniker. That's true. So please do sub to the channel. Give us some support. However you'd like to do it. All right, go ahead. Faith from Facts.
All right, so you can find me at the Faith from Facts YouTube channel. I do mostly ad hoc stuff as I feel like it. I've been doing a little bit more stuff recently, partially because of my participation here and whatnot. I've got a little bit of a longer closing statement, but I think it's really important in conversations like these because it's also what I say, right? I say, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you. Pray for those who mistreat you. If someone strikes you on one cheek, turn to him the other also. And if someone takes your cloak, do not withhold your tunic as well. Give to everyone who asks of you. And if anyone takes what is yours, do not demand it back. Do to others as you would have them do to you. But love your enemies, do good to them, and lend to them, expecting nothing in return. Then your reward will be great, and you will be called the sons of the Most High, for he is kind to the ungrateful and wicked. Be merciful, just as your Father is merciful. Do not judge, and you will not be judged. Do not condemn, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Give, and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over will be poured into your lap. For with the measure you use, it'll be measured back to you. Thank you.
That's an actual quote in the Bible?
Yeah, so that is the Sermon on the Plain, basically, in Luke 6.
Is Luke that long?
What do you mean?
That just seemed like a long passage.
Yeah, so it's a long passage. I even cut out a little bit from the middle there, but it's Luke 6, verses 27 through 38 is what I read.
It's beautiful, Faith from Facts. Thanks for sharing that. I hope we do more stuff together, Faith from Facts. Also,
yeah, definitely.
Email, yeah. Well, I guess I'll wrap things up now. I'm really glad that you all are here. This has been a bit more of a heated conversation than we usually have.
I'm just very passionate about this stuff.
Sorry, what's that?
I mean, I'm just very passionate about this stuff, so I apologize.
I don't think there's any reason to apologize for being passionate. I think it's okay to say that we are passionate about these things, that we want to engage in a way that reflects what the importance of justice that we hold in our hearts. I think well, let me keep going because we are in wrap up time. I guess my point is this. I try to have, calm, dispassionate intellectual discourse. I know sometimes that's not possible because we have very strong feelings about some of these issues. I respect that sometimes our feelings become very strong about these issues. And what I wouldn't want to have happen, okay, is I wouldn't want anyone to come to this conversation and feel like they have to be insincere in what they're portraying about their beliefs. So if you're portraying your beliefs in a way that's sincere, that's really all that I can ask. I think the duty is on me as a moderator to keep the tone kind, which I think you all did on your own, by the way. I don't think I really needed to step in at all and discourteous or impolite to each other. I think you all have really important things to talk about in this space. I hope you'll all consider supporting my channel and checking out some of my videos. Again, the most important thing that I've shared on my channel is the CTF argument. I would highly recommend that all of you check that out. I have another video that I'm working on with Jackie that's going to be out very soon. Jackie's a really great friend to the channel. If you all want to say in your prayers, some kind prayers for people in my community, I would always appreciate that. Janice is a really great supporter of the channel, a really fantastic author who's having some really severe health problems right now. So if you want to pray for Janice, I'd appreciate that. I also have a friend in my community named Micaiah who is a little boy who was diagnosed with a very difficult cancer to deal with. So if you want to pray for Micaiah and Janice, I would always appreciate that. And I'll appreciate the support for the channel however you want to show it. If you want to sub to the channel, that's really great. If you want to comment on any of my videos, I really love that. If you want to like this video, that alone does a lot. And I'll stay online with the panelists just in case they want to exchange contact information with each other for just a couple of minutes. But I really hope that all of you have a really wonderful day. Thanks all so much.